No, there is a spare chair there. Do you want that chair? There's one over on the other side of the building. I think I got that. It's a real pain.
Read the minutes, but I didn't print them. Did you break it, Marshall?
It was broken before you got here. It was a setup.
You could sit next to me.
Thank you for doing that. What? For turning it on.
I'm
Making
not
it feel
offended.
way too important for the second, for the moment.
Tax dollar's going up again. Gotta buy a new chair. Already, I give you a new chair, you gotta touch the buttons. They're like my kids. Oh my God.
It will be recorded, right? We on?
Everyone
John?
see that?
We're on?
Camera's
We're
not
running?
on, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, no.
Not when
Yes.
it will be on YouTube tonight.
That would be great.
All right. It being 7 o'clock, Town of Abington Zoning Board of Appeals will open. First order of business is old and new business. We have the minutes from, was it last month, from March? I read them, I didn't, oh, here they are.
March 9th.
Thank you, March 9th. Do we have a motion to, someone like to make a motion?
Make a motion to accept the minutes from March 9th, 2017.
We have a motion, do we have a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
At this point, the vice chair will read the petition of Mr. David Federico, 228 Washington Street.
The Town of Abington Zoning Board of Appeals will hold a public hearing on Thursday, February 9th, 2017 at 7 o'clock at Abington Town Office, 500 Glawincy Way, Abington, on the petition of David Federico for a special permit under 17572A on a variance under 17521A3 to replace a dilapidated two-family dwelling and barn with two new duplex dwellings and a special permit under 17535 to perform work within a local floodplain, thank you. Thanks. That helps. Wetlands Protection District at 228 Washington Street, Route 18. The property is located at Assessors Map 9, Lot 51, in the R30 residential zone. You did that because you need it, right?
We all do, I think.
All right, before you start, sir, I have this from the Department of Public Works, John Stone, Director, dated April 10th, regarding 228 Washington Street. This proposal, located on Plan 9, Lot 51, is subject to system development fees of $10,000 that must be paid to this office prior to building permit sign-off.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just, again, it's Sean Riley, 5 Washington Street, with David Federico here to my right. We're here on the continued hearing from last month, again, seeking the variance to allow us to take down the existing dilapidated, kind of a large two-family house with barn and a detached garage area. And the proposal is to construct the two duplexes and special permit to work in the floodplain overlay district. As we talked about earlier, beyond zoning, if the board was to approve this, we'd be going on to the Conservation Commission and I believe the Planning Board. When we last left our meeting last month, the board wanted a better idea of the proposal for the appearances of the building, which I did submit, but I did bring extra copies if anyone needs. David's been a builder for a number of years, and as you can see, it's kind of the Cape style with the peaked roofs. It would be obviously on Route 18, whereas the current building is only about 20 feet off the street. This one would be 48 feet off the street. Kind of set back, well, it would be set back more, And it would be, again, as we went over in last meeting, the construction would be in the same immediate area as the existing parking lot and the existing building. It's a difficult property in that, as you know, the river that flows out the back puts restrictions on the property. Although it's an acre and a half of property, there are some points that are pretty much no-touch zones because of the riparian zone, and the Conservation Commission will review all that. We're not in the 100-foot riparian zone. We're not damaging or not touching any wetlands, but we would be within 100 feet, so we would go to the Conservation Commission. I think we all know that Route 18 is developing and kind of growing into kind of more commercial, not single-family. We're kind of getting away from single-family. This might be a more appropriate use. Mr. Melville, who owns the property, was also here in the back. He's been trying to sell the property for a number of years, but there's frankly been no commercial takers there. It's just, with the wetlands in the back and the restricted area, it's just not conducive to it. So the best use of the property would be, we thought, with the townhouse style and the two buildings, which kind of breaks it up, makes it a little bit more attractive. Ironically, I won't talk much because we went over this all last meeting, but I think a lot of the concern was, what would this look like? I hope you think it's rather attractive. I did look at some of the other buildings in the immediate area. There's a lot of commercial as you go north, mixed uses, 3 families, 1 families, 2 families. But I think this would fit in nicely there to kind of take down what has been, no offense to Mr. Melville, somewhat of an eyesore. He hasn't put money into it because he's been trying to sell it. And this would be something to replace it, and it'd be an investment in the town with no real impact to the town. We love to answer any questions, if there are any.
Mr. Chairman?
Please.
So the variance here is not about taking down a dilapidated building, right, Mr. Riley? It's actually, like you said, the use. So it's an R30, and if we look up the bylaws, which tell us the 4 duplexes, it's N for now. That would be right?
Right.
And you know, you'll have to forgive me, it's my first year here, but I look at the variances and I see that, you know, it has to be a hardship owing to relating to soil conditions, shape or topography of such land or structures. So is the hardship that there's wetlands behind it, or what would you say is the hardship?
Hardship is both. That I think if anyone drives by that area on Route 18, I think most people would assume it's a highway commercial zone because it is a Route 18, a state highway.
But it's not.
But it's not, you're right. On our zoning map, that section of Route 18, for whatever reason, is R30, which is
Well,
residential.
there are other houses there, right? There are
Yes.
other commercial, yeah.
There are
there
some
other
houses in the
residential
commercial
houses.
zone, and there are some businesses in the residential zone as you go up and down Route 18. Route 18 right now,
Is the house beside it residential or commercial?
the house beside it is residential. It's actually foreclosed. They are having the same difficulties, can't really sell it. The only thing that's allowed to be built there, as of right, in the R30 zone, is a single-family house on Route 18. Makes no sense to the town to do that. Currently, there is a large 2-family house there with a large barn. And the size of the buildings we put it in is really no taller than what's there. It's in the same area, and really not much more of a footprint than what's there. So the hardship is, yeah, the use. Although it's zoned R30, it's not conducive to single family. That would be a poor investment. It would be no investment. No one's approached Mr. Melville in the last 3 years to say, I want to take down the 2-family and put up a single family. The wetlands, yes, they are a restriction, because you look at the map initially, you say, oh, it's an acre and a half. I could do a commercial building with a nice parking lot out back. Then you look at it and you're like, no, it isn't. It isn't at all. It's much smaller than that. You really have to concentrate in the area that's already disturbed.
Well, for a land that's much smaller because of wetlands, you're actually building 2 duplex buildings, is that right?
Yes.
So you're actually building far bigger than a single family or a 2-family house.
Not square footage wise. I think I showed you the townhouses. They have a footprint of, it was approximately 38 by 54. Slightly bigger than a single-family house. I mean, obviously, in order to pay for the demolition and then for the construction, basically taking down that building and trying to put 2 units up there is not going to pay for itself. So you need to have more than that. We originally looked at one building with 4 units, but frankly, didn't like it. It looked kind of more of a, a dormitory you were putting up there. We wanted to break it up to try to make it look as part of the neighborhood. Now, as you go south, there's about 300 feet, 400 feet of just open space. It's a wetland area. There's a river that goes under the thing. There's nothing really adjacent to us on the left as you're looking at the building. To the right, you mentioned there's a single-family house. Unfortunately, it's been foreclosed. To the right of that is a mixed-use property. To the right of that is a restaurant. Across the street is a chiropractor's office and a muffler shop. Excuse me. Across the street from this is a 2-family home. So it's not anything out of character use-wise. It's not really a dead-end neighborhood. It's a state highway. But I think it would.
Well, it is out of character use-wise, right, because it's R30.
No, but you have to look at in the district and where it's located and all. So on the highway, to say put a single family there, I think that would be out of character. I think that's something where the town's getting away. I think
There are single families on that.
Oh, yeah. Oh, they certainly are. But when the time comes to sell them, what I'm saying, Mr. Bergen, is it's going to be very hard to find a buyer who wants to buy a house on Route 18. I think over time, and we're seeing it gradually, you're going to see a lot of the single-family homes leaving, disappearing, being knocked down and replaced with either commercial or multifamily. Because typically, commercial and multifamily are targeted to be located on high-volume traffic roadways like a state highway. This would be appropriate here. It's not overburdening the property because it's in the same general area.
Okay.
So I think the hardship is there.
So I just, maybe you could come back to me, Mr. Chairman, when we talk about the second part, which is the special permit.
Okay.
Because I had a question, I was going to bring up that same question on the, use where it was supposed to be 1. And also on your application, because you said earlier, you said a river, the water, the construction would be outside of the 100, within the 100. Here it says one outside.
It is outside, excuse me, it's within the 200. There's 2 riparian zones.
I realize that.
Okay.
I was in the petroleum business, and that's a very important distinction.
You try to do anything to stay out of the 100-foot riparian zone.
Absolutely. That's why, because I would have said right away.
If you're within the 100 to 200-foot, you need permission from conservation.
But an important thing here too is you do not own the property at this point. So the hardship to me relates to Mr. Melville rather than to you.
Okay.
And that's under this Mass Chapter 40, Section 9, I believe it is, or 10, where it does state that created hardships. And I've asked around on that because I know you questioned me on that.
Yeah.
And when the hardship, in the old days, you would buy the property next to it and make it all work. And what we seem to be doing here is, let's just make it work by coming in front of the board and saying, we'll put this or that on the new guy coming in, rather than,
Okay, I disagree with you, and I'd ask you to consult with town council. And I apologize, I should have brought
I
the...
will be consulting.
I should have brought the Lamb case,
Yep.
which clearly specifies, and I don't know if you're aware of this, Andrew, but a buyer steps into the shoes of a seller and has every right to apply for the same variance and special permit that a seller would do. Otherwise, sellers would take the burden and they would have to almost project what a buyer might want to do. I could have put Mr. Melville's name on this, but it would be his project, Mr. Federico's project. It really shouldn't matter whatsoever, because that's why your zoning application says, are you the owner or a holder of a purchase and sale, a buyer? If so, you qualify to request relief. So I think your statement you just made is not
Okay.
correct? Okay? And that's why the application has checked the box. If you're not either one of those, you shouldn't be here.
that was one of them in
Okay.
the 1 versus 2 is,
I will get you that case, though. I apologize. I did make copies of it, too.
So I think, are you done, Mr. Shepherd? I'm
I was
sorry.
going to ask on the periodical rain and runoff, because there is a river that runs there. Does it go to flooding at all?
Mr. Melville can talk more about that. His house, right now, you can see his house in the pavement is already in the 200-foot riparian. It's ghosted on the, actually, you can see it better on this one, which was submitted prior. You might see it there. This is colored right now to show what's proposed. But the kind gentleman at Wheatley's have shown, like, you know, there is the original building up here. You see it up about 20 feet off, and it came this way, and there's already pavement. This is the 200-foot line that you were talking about, John.
Yeah.
So there
There's the
already
100.
is, right, there's the 100. Nothing existing or proposed is within the 100-foot riparian zone. Everything is within
It's gonna be in this area right
the
here.
200. So we're really,
This is uplands, correct?
yes. Yes.
I think one of my concerns, and I'm not sure from last time, and I'm not sure it's been addressed, to my satisfaction at least, is, you know, as you were mentioning, Sean, when you go from, heading towards Whitman, when you go from Mia Ragazza towards Whitman, everything up to the church is basically a single building. They may be multi-family dwellings, but they're all single buildings. And, you know, while this looks, you know, stylish and modern, what the applicant is proposing is to put two of these 20 feet apart, which I'm not convinced is in keeping with the character of the neighborhood. I think, you know, because you said previous that you thought it was going to be essentially the same footprint, but, you know, now the building's 130 feet of building versus, you know, there's no way that and two of these is the same footprint. And I just,
No, you're right, it's a
I'm not
different footprint.
convinced.
I'm sorry, when I say footprint, I'm talking also about the existing paving. As you know, you can see the picture right there. There's the house, and then there's a pretty large paved parking lot for a two-family area. So you know, that footprint of disturbed area is where we're trying to concentrate our work on. And to your point, I brought, again, some more aerial photos. Now, this is looking north on Route 18. And it shows in the bottom of the photo, excuse me while I reach, yes, Sharon. Thank you. That, you know, a lot of grass area, green, untouched, it's about 300 feet, as I said, until you get to the parking lot where Mr. Melville's property is. And then beyond that, you can see where the immediate buildings are in the general neighborhood of this property. And then when you look at the general neighborhood of this property there, the buildings that are closest to it, I've labeled the various existing uses.
Thank you.
So across the street was a two-family, next door was that foreclosed house, again, the mixed use on the corner of Ashland, the restaurant. Across the street is a muffler shop, sheet metal, office building, three-family, one-family. It's a smorgasbord. This is certainly, I'm not sure what's in character of this neighborhood, it is a mixture.
Well, you know, calling a house a foreclosed house doesn't take away from the fact that it is somewhere that somebody's going to live, right? Just because you call it a foreclosed house.
To be honest with you, I'm not sure what's going to be the result of that. It is on a relatively, one of the smaller lots. Our lot is twice as big as that lot, and it's a small house. I wouldn't, it could be, someone could buy it for a single-family house, someone could buy it and rip it down. I think it's probably something of value to an abutter, but I'm not sure, that only time will tell.
Foreclosed house is a foreclosed house. The poor people didn't have enough money to pay the mortgage, right? But some family did live there, or maybe more than one family. Doesn't take away from the fact it's a house, a home.
Not at all, and nor does it take away the fact that it is on Route 18. So the value of a single-family house on Route 18 is substantially different, somewhat probably lower, than a value of a single-family house on a side street. I mean,
This is not a hardship, though. You know, value is not a hardship, is it?
sure, financial or otherwise.
Does it say that?
Mhm.
You'll have to forgive me. It says, let me see, to protect the public from the burden of extraordinary financial expenditure for flood control and relief. Oh, no, sorry, beg your pardon. I'm looking at the variance. But anyway, you think that it's the cost is a hardship. Oh, thank you. It causing an impossible prohibitive expense to conform. That's what you mean, right? Is that it?
The statute says financial or otherwise, yeah. It could pose a hardship,
Right.
financial or otherwise.
But
So to basically say,
Sorry,
okay,
maybe I'm reading the wrong one.
No, the hardship is, right
The
now, I don't
hardship
see what the
that it runs-
hardship is to him at this point.
It has to run from the land, doesn't it? Or
Or
the
the
soil?
structures, or
Yes.
the structures, or the topography or the shape. So we've got topography and soil issues in that the wetlands restrict where we can build and how much we can build. That although we own an acre and a half, we really can't utilize all of it, so we're restricted to where we are.
Right.
Also, the location of where it is, on Route 18. Also, the status of the structure itself.
Right.
You're not gonna be able to renovate that building, it's too far gone. You know, if it wasn't that far gone, someone could go in there and clean it up and maintain the two-family structure. Frankly, it's a huge two-family. It's much more than that, also has the barn next door to it. I think we've seen, you know, we're not overloading the property whatsoever. It's not overloading water or sewer. There's room around, there's green space. Again, we're not invading the green space there. Then this is, I think, you know, attractive buildings with garages and parking. We've actually added the garages to minimize and cut back on the amount of pavement out there.
Mr. Chairman, can I ask my second question?
Please.
So Mr. Ryan, I was so excited that this is the first one, house before us, project before us, because later on tonight, we're going to be talking about an article that's coming before the town about taking the control or authority of the zoning board away on one issue, and that's whether a project affects the, what is it again? The floodplain and wetlands protection district. That's right, and bring it, and allowing simply the, if the article is approved, we wouldn't be actually sitting on this for that particular special permit which you're asking. It would be the planning board, right? So it's fascinating, so I was reading about it. And
Part of their site plan review with their engineer.
so you simply need a special permit to overcome the idea of a wetland protection district and if there's any problems. And any homeowner in Abington will recognise from commercial construction when they wake up in the morning and find their basement flooded that this is a risk, right?
Mm-hmm.
So do you think that this is a risk in this construction?
No whatsoever, because there's an existing home there, and if you can see by the topography, the building elevations are much higher than any wetlands. So if there was, when it rains out, water flows down and away, water flows downhill, and it flows out back towards the river. Now, I think if you drive by there, it's very hard to actually see the river. You just see lawn space out back there. Occasionally it's mowed, sometimes it's not mowed. So there's plenty of room for absorption and all. So we're not really building in an area that hasn't been built before. It's already there. And as part of site plan review with the planning board, they would go over any drainage and topography issues.
Right, so the footprint is the same as the footprint of the existing building?
It's very similar. I think the left-hand building is a little bit further to the left than what's existing. But you'll see the right-hand building is further back off the street than what's existing. Again, they're both 48 feet off the street, whereas currently the front of the house is about 20 feet off the street. I think you'll see, actually, drainage would improve with updated, it's designed by the Wheatleys, John and Russ, so that we update all the drainage now, whereas drainage doesn't exist on it right now. It's just kind of flat and it flows. So in that way, it would be an improvement. And there is no one 300 feet to the left of us. Any water that flows to the river will go into the river. The river is also behind the single-family house that you speak of.
Behind that, that's the golf course, right? You have
Golf course
that,
way out back, yeah.
you have that hill going down.
Right, into the pond, the river out there. I think we all know, about half of the town of Abington is in the local floodplain wetlands protection overlay district. It doesn't mean half the properties have wetlands on them. And that map, which was done in the early 70s, has never been updated, but it basically was areas thought to, or known to be having wetlands in the area, or poorly draining soil issues, like, for example, Hancock Street area has a lot more clay than a Musterfield. So you'll see up in the Hancock Street area, there's a lot more need for special permits to build in the floodplain, whereas in the Musterfield, that's great gravel out there.
I mean, as a board, are we satisfied with what's come forth with the design of the buildings themselves? So, do we have issues with that, or?
Well, I want to open it to the floor, I think, before we get into our...
Okay.
If there are no more initial questions at this point. I'd like to open it to the floor, see if anyone present would like to speak regarding this, and if you do, please, we just ask that you state your name and address for the record, and please.
Hello. Directly across the street, 27 Washington Street. We just have concerns for flooding. As you look at the house to the left, it is a little bit lower, as he said, but heavy rainstorm, just like last week, it pretty much encompasses that whole area and kind of floods out, goes into the street. You know, the cars have trouble passing by. I didn't know if they might be planning on taking a, you know, like you see next to Walmart, they have these areas sectioned off for overflow.
The retention pond?
Yeah, I didn't know, maybe something like that might be planned. And as far as, we don't see the picture of what you have planned for the actual construction. We're thrilled, by the way, that this is going in.
This is a rainstorm we had just a week ago,
Yeah.
and now the whole area is flooded. I would need hip boots to go through there.
And that is what, behind the house, or?
No, that's beside it.
Oh, okay,
That's that whole open area, from the river to their house.
wow.
It gets all flooded one year. And I have pictures and I can't find them because I got 40,000 pictures to look through. But they had 3 boys living, or 2 boys over there. Rory's the oldest one now, about 30 years old. When he lived there, the water was over his head.
Oh,
We just want to make sure that
Okay.
maybe something is
So if
done
it
to
happened
get
then,
flood
what could
control.
happen again? And then when it got flooded like that,
now, is that actually where the house is, or is it behind?
No.
No,
Right behind? Wow,
yeah, that whole open
that
area.
whole open area there, yep.
Those issues are addressed by the planning board,
In the conservation.
conservation.
We're
at that
not-
point.
Well,
Changing any
with
of that.
respect,
Yeah,
with
but I don't want
respect,
you
no.
filling it.
Yeah.
The issue is directed, I mean, we haven't heard from the
when that
the
happened-
conservation, have we?
Right, they did
My
not
house
chime
got
in
6
with
inches
anything.
of
Right, so we actually do look at this for the wetlands and the floodplain protection district. We specifically look at a homeowner who is next door, whose basement or whose land is flooded. We actually do look at this.
He's
I
actually,
mean, we may not after the town meeting, but today, we do look at this. I mean, it's an issue.
And he's saying basically right behind this house here, that completely floods up. So when we're looking at this house here, all this area back here floods up at certain times.
he's
So
he's
it's an
across
issue.
the street.
Yeah.
He's, yeah.
I got 2 houses, I put A and B on it. A is the oldest part of the house, that's, parts of that is as old as Samuel Norton's house, because
Yeah.
same post and beam construction inside the house. Well, that house got 6 inches of water that time that river over there got flooded,
That's your house.
yeah.
So you're saying his
Then I
house,
added on
right?
a modular home, and I get traces of water in there, but it built it up higher.
That same river comes
Yeah.
across the street to
Right.
his, near his property. The water that's on our side is on our side of Route 18. Route 18 is like a revetment
I didn't
between
take
us.
pictures, but I got standing water in my yard now.
So how would your construction change that for the better?
It wouldn't. It's not gonna make it better or worse, because we're not touching that area where the flooding is allowed to flood. John, if you wanna speak to that, I mean, the foundation is at least 4 to 5 feet above the side lot area, much as it is now, but we're actually kind of increasing it so that,
Are there going to be basements in these homes?
no, right, no basements. Huh? Yeah. Wait,
There is?
then you're still gonna be,
Surprised with that, I'm surprised about that.
the floor elevation is at 93. All of this would be,
Basements, yeah.
all of this would be reviewed by the planning board's engineer. That's always an issue is water, to show, I mean, we can't get the water across
You'll
Route
have
18.
to tell us.
Yes, can have water.
But when you build all these cats, like up here on the corner of High Street and 123, that's a nice condo.
What do you think? I mean, you could, we'd be here for the same reasons.
Yeah, oh, right.
Frankly, we thought that putting up 4 or 5 together or whatever, just wouldn't look as well as separating them. Because essentially, these buildings are about the same size as single-family houses, so we thought it kind of fit better.
Yeah.
It just breaks it up, it gives the residents a little more privacy, being only in 2 units instead of 1 or 4.
I'm just thinking it wouldn't be spreading it out as far, you know what I mean? Be more
Yeah, right
compact.
You wouldn't be so apt to fill on that land.
We're not. We're
That's my
working,
concern.
The-
You put a house and then you can put an apron around it.
yeah,
You gotta fill it in somehow,
Yeah.
some way.
yeah, we are
That's
not,
what I'm concerned about.
We can demand that.
all of this, we have to, we're here for the use,
Yeah.
for them to allow, for the zoning board to allow the potential of the two duplexes. If approved, then we will be going to the planning board and to the conservation commission to get notice of those. Then we'll get much more in-depth about water issues, drainage issues.
But
and
thank
all.
you for the information.
Yeah.
That's good information to have.
Because it's, those details are not worth getting the engineering done until we know what building's going.
Well, Mr. Chairman, the building inspector just showed me the actual wording. So what we have to decide is that whether this is eligible for a special permit if the Board of Appeals finds that the subject land is not in fact subject to seasonal or periodic flooding, and if the proposed development is consistent with the purpose of this bylaw, which is the bylaw of the floodplain. So that's why, if we do not think. You mentioned those two boards, and I'm not too sure about the power of the planning board, but I have been on the conservation board, so they don't have a power to actually stop this construction.
Right.
The zoning board.
Right, I remember we've discussed that in the
That's right,
past.
yeah.
Dennis, I think just to clarify, if the board finds that it's not subject to,
Seasonal or periodic.
right,
flooding.
then there may not be an issue. If there is any sort of issue of flooding, whatever, then we would address it also in design.
Well, there
and all.
is, we just heard, right.
So one of your jobs is to look at the topography. The main purpose of the special permit for floodplain is to make sure that whatever we are proposing or altering, whether we're putting an addition on a house or building a commercial building, that where does the water go? Is it going to flood our neighbors, or is it gonna make anything worse? We can't make some things better. I mean, this area, is in a flood area, it is, and when it rains hard, just like a lot of backyards, water will pool and then eventually dissipate. So is what we're doing going to make that worse? I would say to you, no, because that's why we're staying in that same exact area. We're not changing the topography out in that area where the water goes, okay? And eventually it percolates back into the river. We're actually, again, setting the buildings back a little bit off of the street for aesthetics and all, and we are not having water, there's no water issues that we're aware of with the single-family house to the right. That's a little bit set farther back. I'm sure they have issues in their backyard, but that's not before us or them.
Would anyone else on the floor like to address the issue before us? I'm sorry.
Well, if I may, John Potter, I work for the Russell Wheatley Company. When this process gets going, on the plan and under the parking area, there's going to be an underground detention basin that's going to have to be designed that is going to ensure that we don't increase the runoff. In other words, whatever's going to happen on the site, on the improvements on the site, are going to go into a underground, this is in fact an underground drainage system rather than the holes in the ground that you see that are actually open air detention basins. This one's going to be underground, and it will have to be designed so that the increase in the runoff that's created from the development will be taken into the basin, and then over time the underground basin will allow the water to enter into the well, eventually into the stream, into the wetlands, into the area to the left of the buildings. So it is going to have to be designed. It is going to have to be engineered so that the net flow will be less than equal to or less than zero in the proposed stage, in the post-development stage.
And everything that John just said would apply to anything that would be proposed to be built here.
Right.
I want to make that clear, whether it would be a commercial building or 3 units or 4 units, because you're in the floodplain, you have to show that you're not going to flood your neighbors.
Well, we're talking about this project, Mr. Ryan.
Yeah,
We're
but-
talking
but
about
I-
2 duplexes in this.
But, Mr. Bergen, all due respect, if you were to say that it's impossible to build this because of the existing soils or whatever, then you'd have to say it's impossible for anything else to be put in there.
No, I'm not saying it's impossible to build. We're looking at the law, and the bylaw says it shouldn't be built. So you're telling us why it should be built, right?
No, it doesn't say it shouldn't be built. It says if it's found not in fact to be subject to seasonal or unsuitable because of the drainage conditions, if the proposed action consistent with the purpose, the board may grant at the public hearing the special permit. If there has to be parts of the design to show you that we're not going to be flooding people.
Sorry, I beg your pardon. I think we can presume that there is a flooding issue. From what everybody said, I think we can presume that
No doubt.
You have two issues. One is a variance and one's a special permit. The special permit, there is a flooding issue here, obviously, and we just have to decide whether it's enough to defeat the idea of having a special permit. But the first issue, a variance, the law simply says that at R30, that a building like this, a two construction, should not be constructed in this area. And you're asking us not to agree with that, right? To overcome that law.
Yes, that's the purpose of the zoning board of appeals.
Right. So what I said was that, so.
For the variance, you need to show that there's something unique about the property with topography or the structure, and you show the hardship, and that we wouldn't be, what's the word I'm looking for there? Out of character with the intent of the zoning bylaw. The floodplain bylaw is basically to protect the future residents and the owners. That the design incorporates usually elevations, swales, or drainage to address any flooding issues. Now, even if there wasn't actual flooding issues, just because we're in the flood zone, we would have to go through that. Even if the neighbor said that dries really well out there, you still have to go through it because we're in the flood district, the overlay district. And so that's why John has showed you, John Cotter, the elevations of the property, how the building's being raised up, basically, much like the original building. I mean, that it is, as I mentioned before, 300 feet away from our nearest abutter to the south, and frankly, any stormwater from our property can't get there because the river would absorb it. The Coughlin's across the street, well, Route 18 blocks our water from going there, but that doesn't block the stream. They still have wetlands on their side, which, they share the same issues that we have. And we don't have any knowledge of any flooding issues to the north of us with the single-family house, which makes sense because the riparian zone is to the south of us. So I think the plan we've submitted satisfies the requirements of the floodplain to show how we've addressed where the water would flow and continue to flow towards the wetlands, which is what you want to do. You don't want to starve the wetlands.
Does the existing structure have a cellar in it now, or a basement?
I believe it does. I've never been inside of it.
We asked Mr. Melville.
Mr. Melville's here.
Do you have a basement in your current house?
Yes.
Do you have water issues?
It's 200 years old, so it's just a dirt floor, but it's, 6 feet tall. Yeah. Well, under the barn and under the house.
Is it wet?
No.
You never get water in there?
Sure.
What's that?
Like, we have a pump, but
Okay,
we have one
that's it.
on High Street too.
So water would be coming in if the pump septic,
If it was to come in.
the sump pump.
So we're gonna bring it back to the table, and the gentleman is, Mr. Bergens pointed out, we have 3 things to decide, really. First is, well, in no particular order, the special permit of constructing in an area that we know floods, but, as Mr. Riley pointed out, anything that happens here, we're gonna be addressing that issue. Yeah, so that's, we have to decide if it's a go, no-go. We know it floods. Are we gonna make it worse for the neighbors and for the area, I think is the way I read that one. The second is the variance itself, where by law, the only thing allowed right now is a single family. So anything besides putting a single family in that, they're gonna be in front of us regarding that, and we have to decide, you know, is this twin duplex unit, so we're converting a single family to basically 4 families.
Is this a two-family? I'm sorry.
Two-family now, yeah.
It's a two-family now.
Is it?
Yeah.
Okay, so a two-family to the property being for 4-family. I read it last month, I didn't read it.
No, I just want to remind you. That's all.
No, I
That house
appreciate
is
it.
probably built way before the laws,
Right, right.
so that makes a difference.
And then the other thing which I had been questioning since a month ago was, you know, are duplexes in character with the neighborhood? And those are the things we have to discuss. I mean, keep in mind that we have 2 of these, so it's 4 garage faces, and the buildings are, according to this, 20 feet apart, which is, I guess, just inside the setback on an R30, because it'll be right on the edge, then 20. So what do you, I mean, I open this to the whole table at this point, for thoughts and comments.
Well, I'll just start it off with, I mean, they want to put a cellars in this new construction, which I think the past owner will tell you that, I mean, you have water. And I really appreciate the neighbors coming and explaining what they've seen over the years. I mean, it does tell us that there are water issues there, there's no doubt about it. Drainage.
Problems over the years, I'm still concerned about it.
And when you do look at this project, you'll see that, I mean, everything is basically pushed over. If you were looking at the original picture of the original building, everything's this way. And now you're putting everything center on that piece of property. So we don't know if that's gonna cause any other issues with drainage. Because not everything's off to the other side. It's taking up the parking lot that's there now.
But this gentleman said that they're gonna make, they're gonna take care of that.
But we're
They're gonna,
Right. We would not be able to get a building permit unless we can show that the drainage would not flood any neighbor.
close to the table.
we're fine with it.
Supposed to be only the table.
Take care of it.
Yes, ma'am. Andrew, what say you? What are your thoughts?
I mean, in terms of, I mean, starting with the variance, if you look at the, you know, the character of the neighborhood, I mean, as is pointed out, there's really no concrete character to the neighborhood, given the structures that are there now in terms of restaurants and mixed use, so I don't think it's gonna interfere with that. And I think, you know, we have heard sufficient evidence to establish that there is a hardship, given just the shape of the actual lot itself, as the current zoning requirements, what could go there, as well as the topography and, you know, the soil structure. So I think I'd be inclined to agree in terms of the variance, given what we've heard so far. In terms of the water issue, I mean, I think that would, you know, as Attorney Riley pointed out, because of where the property is structured, we have to grant a special permit for anything that's going there, and we've had evidence that, you know, that's gonna be taken into consideration in the engineering stage for net zero in terms of, you know, water impact on the property. So I'm satisfied that it's met the requirements for both at this point, but.
Mr.
And
Shepherd?
I disagree on the other end of that, because I don't see where the hardship was shown. He bought or is buying the property knowing what exists now and what exists over the years. So in my opinion, I feel that sticking with the town laws, that 1 unit, 2-family would have been sufficient as far as I'm concerned, but I don't see where the hardship has been proven, the topography and everything existed beforehand. That's my opinion.
Thank you. I laid in at the beginning because I found it interesting. Firstly, I think there's 2 issues, like you said, and one is the variance, and it's over 30, but it's on Route 18. But really, if the people in the town said they wanted a residential, and there are residential houses here, shouldn't we continue that? And if they want to change it, they can surely do that. In fact, there are articles before the town meeting, the upcoming town meeting, where they're changing some of the areas or districts or uses. And here, obviously, it's a change. They definitely, and also, I think it's not simply a small change, it's 2 duplexes. This is an issue. Because in the next 2 to 3 years, I believe there are over 400 units that are going to be constructed in Abington. This is going to totally change, just generally, the town that we know it. So it begins very small in decisions like this. Do we actually uphold the law, the variances, or do we go and change it? You know, small little issues. And here, I understand, though, there's an issue. It's a beautiful house, but I understand that there's not much they can do about it. And so, really, to maximize profit, it's better to do 2 duplexes than a house. But I don't think that's a hardship under the zoning law myself. The second part, they definitely need a special permit. There's definitely an issue of flooding. I don't think anybody in this room thinks there's not going to be an issue of flooding when there's construction done. And the fact that Mr. Cotter has talked about what they're doing detention is really terrific. And that probably will come out in the conservation, which of course relies on this committee to decide whether to allow the construction or not. They have to work with whatever decision we make. And you can see that Mr. Cotter is actually thinking ahead of that and putting in a detention. There's no doubt there's flooding here. So I do not have a vote, but I would actually vote against the variance, and so the special permit would probably fall.
Right, and also to go along with that, it would be substantially different uses, what you were talking about, 175, 72-A.
Right, I suppose that's to do with the
Yeah.
houses, yeah.
Oh, is it, when you say to the table, am I allowed to
No.
give you anything?
I thought we're done.
I think that might be a little bit unfair, Mr. Chairman.
To the board,
Sorry?
okay.
Yes, I think that might be a little bit unfair.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
So I haven't personally loved the idea of the duplexes from the time I've read it. I'm still not 100% convinced. Is this, I mean, is this an artist rendering, or is this, you know, this is the problem sometimes. We see something like this and something close to that ends up going up, and we can't take back our vote at that point. So, you know, I don't know. I've seen townhouses done quite well around here. I've seen multifamily single buildings go up that look, I don't think look like dorms or commercial, you know, entities that came out of a steel building catalog or something like that. So, you know, I'm on the fence. I get to vote, but I'm curious as to how these gentlemen will go. What say you guys?
I mean, my only other thought would be if we, you know, there were issues concerning the variance or either the variance or the special permit, if there's any conditions that could be placed on the property which might alleviate any concerns that the board might have.
Well, I'm concerned with the whole idea of putting basements here, in the way it's constructed. Well, what you said, 20 feet here, and you have basements. Basements seem to hold the water, if you will, and only that flood. I mean, again, the way I look at it is this is the parking lot right here. You're building there. Drainage is an issue. And I just don't like the idea of the basements.
That's fine.
I think if there were no basements, that the flow of the water underneath would continue and it wouldn't back up. Again, when I look at the golf course, I see, you know, that it comes down into that creek or river, if you will. And it all, you said what, 9 feet at one time in the back of that? In back of the house? It's just it's a really nasty place to build 2 buildings where you have one now. Very concerned about it because, again, flooding is an issue. What do you think? The design itself, I mean.
I think that's my sticking point on this. I think if it was one building, I'd probably have a different
I
opinion.
mean, it seems like we're putting a lot of Band-Aids on this. I mean, this is an area that we know floods. And again, I look at the picture, and the original picture, you see that the original property is off to the other side. It doesn't take up the whole area. And again, this is a two-family, now we're going to 4. I'm just not very comfortable with the outcome on it.
Can I ask a question?
I'm sorry, you may not. I'm sorry, Louis. So make a motion then.
Do you want to make the motion? Let's see. On the petition of David Federico for a special permit under 17572A on a variance under 17521A3 to replace a dilapidated two-family dwelling barn and two new duplexes dwellings, special permit under 17535 to perform within the local floodplain and wetland protection district at 228 Washington Street, Route 18. The property located at Assessors Map 9, Lot 51 in the R30 residential zone. Denied.
Motion, do we have a second? I'll second it. All in favor? Aye.
No.
Thank you for your time,
Okay.
thoroughness.
Okay.
The motion is not carried because it was not unanimous.
Have you already had one of these?
Yes, we do. All right, being a little after 7:05. The vice chair will read the petition of Jared Driscoll, 164 Myers Ave.
The town of Abington was zoning board of appeals held a public hearing on Thursday, April 13th, 2017 at 7:50 at the Abington Town Offices, 500 Quincy Way. Abington on a petition for Jared Driscoll, 164 Myers Ave, Abington, for frontage area and side yard variance. Construct a mudroom and attached two-story garage bedroom addition at 164 Myers Ave under Abington Zoning Board Bylaws, Section 17529. The property is located at Assessors Map 10, Lot 47, at R30 zone.
Before you start, sir. From the Department of Public Works, dated April 10th, regarding 164 Myers Ave. The proposal located on Assessors Plan 10, Lot 47, appear to have no bearing on the sewer system. You have the floor, sir.
Thank you. Good evening. My name is John Cotter. I work with the Russell Wheatley Company. And Mr. Wheatley is here in the audience with us, and we're here to speak to the petition of Mr. Driscoll, Mr. Jared Driscoll. He's sitting here to my right, in order to construct a two-story garage and bedroom addition and a proposed mudroom on the west side of his building or his home at 164 Myers Avenue. The lot itself is located on the northerly side of Myers Ave. Currently, it is a 20,000 square foot lot with 108.1 feet of frontage. The lot is considered pre-existing, non-conforming, which is why we're here in front of you for a relief from the area and frontage for the R30 zone, which is you're required to have 110 feet of frontage and 30,000 square feet of lot area. The lot was created prior to the R30 zone in that area. I'm not exactly sure what the zoning was at the time this was constructed or when Myers Avenue was developed. But at this point, we, in order for Mr. Driscoll to do anything on his lot, he has to come before the board and obtain a variance for his lot as well as for anything that he is currently trying to do. And what he would like to do is to create a 28 by 31 garage with a second story on it and connect it to the existing building with a triangular shaped mudroom. Reason for this is the house itself is kitty cornered on the property, as you can see. Reason for this is that the Myers Avenue, actually the land that's owned by Mr. Ducheney, who's also in the audience here, was at one time a right-of-way. There was a right-of-way between what is now Mr. Driscoll's house and Mr. Ducheney's house, and Mr. Ducheney purchased the property. It goes into the back area that there's now the town of Abington, currently owned jointly by Abington and Rockland, an area that would never be, or probably never be developed because it is owned by the town. So Mr. Ducheney, in his wisdom, decided to purchase the property for himself. The addition is needed for Mr. Driscoll because he has a growing family, and the house itself is limited in its size, and he's looking to expand. The variances themselves, the variance for the side yard setback is a little over a foot. I don't think that the most aggrieved person on this would be Mr. Ducheney. We've spoken with Mr. Ducheney, and he doesn't have any issue with where the location is or with the fact that he has to get a small variance to create the size that he is needing. As far as the value of the property or anything, we don't feel that it's detrimental in any way. It's a single-family house. It's to remain a single-family house. Throughout the whole neighborhood, there's single-family homes, and he just wishes to, expand. If there are any questions, I'll be more than willing to entertain them.
I'd like to start here. I realize that's an older cul-de-sac area, and houses, they started out, looked like they were all one level, then as time has gone, we've gone higher. Was there any thought put into this of putting the addition in the back and then just have it done by right?
Well, in the back, it would have been, we had discussed that, but in the back, he's looking to remove the garage that's there. He has a garage door. He's looking to remove that and make a family room out of it, and then he would end up with the garage in the rear of the house. It's just kind of, he's got the pool. He's got a pool out there.
I see the pool.
It would be. It would be really not conducive to.
Very strange.
It would be a
angle
strange
that
layout.
it's at. It's a
Right.
strange angle at start.
Correct.
It was planned originally that there was gonna be a right-of-way there, so they kitty-cornered my house
in Tom's house because there was gonna be more of a development.
I drove by there today, I thought it was very strange how the angle went.
Tom told me about it. His family's lived there forever, so he knew the ins and outs of the neighborhood. That's why our only two houses are kitty cornered. Is that right?
I saw the road too, the little cutout you have there.
Yeah.
But see, that would eliminate the problems there and not put us in the variance. Variance, you have to show, it's only to be given out in rare circumstances. And the other questions, though, I do agree, well, let me get, before I do the good part, what I think is, on your plan here, you're showing the side here with it, but you're not mentioning the deck in the side variance. It looks like it's over more,
Where?
right here, the deck, the distance between there and the lot line. You got 3192?
Yeah, to the building corner.
Yeah, but what about the deck? According to this, the deck looks like it extends further towards the neighbor, I mean,
It may, but it would still conform to the side setback.
side is 30, right?
The side is 20.
20. Okay, I want to make sure. Okay,
It would have been, you're correct in that, it would have been a 30, it would have been 30 if the lot was a corner lot, where that used to have it used to be the right-of-way, but that right-of-way now no longer exists. So it reverts to a side setback, because now he only has frontage on one street.
right, okay. But as far as the character of the neighborhood, you wouldn't be changing not much on your side. The other side it would, but it's not more detrimental, doesn't substantially deviate. You meet a lot of the criteria as far as, especially a special permit, but the shape of the lot would be the other one as far as the variance. Do you plan on selling that?
No, I work in Abington and I plan on living here. That's why I want to build this garage.
Yeah.
I don't want to have to buy a bigger house because I like my neighbors. I personally know 4 of them. I work with 3 of them.
That's
So I want to stay on that street
Right.
It's
specifically.
a nice little
It is.
side street there.
No one knows about it.
No,
It's
it's the first time I've gone down there, I was amazed.
Last what is that building down there that's?
Water
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 department,
treatment plant.
yeah, it's all fenced off.
Yeah, I knew that, but it's.
My best friend actually moved in across the street today, so
Wow.
I will not be. Since high school, I've known him.
Oh, my
so
God.
We're not moving.
That could be
I must say,
It could be good and bad. Bad for my wife, but good for me.
So, so may I, I'm curious if if you did the proposal, 26 and a half feet, you'd go right up to the 20-foot mark, and then it would be a slam dunk because you have a pre-existing house with only 108 square feet 108 linear feet of frontage. I mean, had you guys discussed that at all?
We did. And it was just, it was a matter of internally, when he, to get the room upstairs, especially on the upstairs, to get the room that he wanted, he needed the extra.
those bedrooms up there?
They're gonna be
You need
bedrooms,
more
yes, sir.
bedrooms, that's what's going on here,
Yes,
right?
sir.
Can we, Mr. Chairman?
Please.
Can we ask the building inspector if he has any comment about this is non-conforming, you're going to construct something that's non-conforming, but what would be conforming?
It's existing, non-conforming. Gail V. Gloucester Dedrick says that I should identify the manners in which it's non-conforming, and if there are no new non-conformities, then the applicant would be entitled to a building permit. And this 1.8 feet
Yes.
that we're talking about here is the increase in the nonconformity, which requires, and it's a new nonconformity, requires a variance.
Yeah, that's the danger.
You cut 1.8 feet off of it, and you bring it
That's-
exactly to the 20 feet, assuming, and I'm assuming this right-of-way we don't have a front yard setback here.
No,
But
no, it's now
assuming,
owned, it's-
accepting that, if you cut off, 20 inches off the building, it's conforming and no relief is required, in my opinion.
I think it would just need a special permit for construction because of the 108 feet. No, you can.
No, it's pre-existing,
No.
non-conforming,
All
and
right,
there are
so that's
no
Gale
new-
v. Gloucester at
That's,
that point.
and Dedrick.
How much to cut off?
It's 1.8 feet.
So like Mr. Mullen asked, why not cut off from 1.8 and we don't have to make a variance?
Is that possible?
I actually was hoping to make it bigger, but Mr. Carter informed me, but that's the biggest apparently you can make a garage in Abington. It's 875 square feet, which I thought it was 900.
No, I believe he's correct.
So originally, I wanted to make it bigger so I would have more room, but Mr. Carter informed me that that couldn't be the case, and this is as big as I could make the garage, was 28 by 31.
That would require additional relief.
Yeah, so he said, this is the biggest that I could potentially get without requiring a variance for overall square footage.
Do we have any more questions at the table at this point?
But I just want to reiterate that 1.8 feet,
1.81, I think, isn't that it, John?
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, actually, it's 1.19 feet.
it's even less.
Yeah, it's way less. It's 14 inches. So
Yeah.
That would take a lot
Then
of,
it would be, no relief is required,
Exactly.
in my opinion.
All right.
and that way you can't get mad at us down the road.
Yeah,
I'm not really sure how this all works.
that's all right. I'm going to close it to the table, open it to the floor. Is anyone here would like to speak regarding this? Name and address?
Thomas Candy, 106 Myers Avenue, it's a direct butter. The garage would be going towards my property. And I just want to express the fact that I'm not opposed to this 14 inches. I'm the neighbor and I don't have a problem. I just wanted to.
Thank you. I have here a note from the abutter, if we're looking at ours to the right, from Antoinette Singolani.
Yes.
I'm close?
You were close.
Thank you. At 172 Myers Ave. She called today and she's regrets to not be here. She is away, but she wanted to let the board know that she was in favor of the petition. So we have neighbors on both sides who are in favor of that. If no one else, I'm going to close it to the floor, bring it back to the table. I get, on the one hand, if you take, 14 inches off,
14.28.
thank you, sir. I'll spot them the quarter inch. They don't even have to be here. At the same time, we don't know like the size of the rooms upstairs or anything where, we all have that tiny bedroom in our houses and maybe he's trying to avoid that. I don't think that the neighbors are going to experience much of an impact with a house that would be right on the 20-foot setback line and a house being on the 18.81-foot setback line. I don't think visually or emotionally it would make much of a difference in that case. But I'm only one man.
What I'd like to add to that, though, again, as a board, we've got to be fair and make the well-known to everybody that we are consistent. The thing that I think can help you in this case is the fact that it had to be an R20, and now you went to an R30.
Probably, yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't
So,
research.
in this case, that would be your hardship, in the sense that you now you can't do anything with it, with what your plans, usage. Otherwise, you would have a hard time with a lot of places getting this approved, when you're asking for frontage and that. So, that would be my comment.
It's quite possible that if he had had the 110 feet of frontage,
You wouldn't be here.
You wouldn't, that's
Right,
correct.
exactly,
You would've-
right.
You would have had an extra.
Yeah, you would've had that
1
extra.
point.
if you had a foot on each side, you're,
That's why we as a board can take into consideration that
right.
R20 factor.
And as I said, I went by it today, and basically, it is a very strange setup you have there with it's a large piece of property with a angled house, and I can see what you're trying to get here. And again, there is a good distance between your neighbor. Isn't like you're coming, 2 feet from his boundary here. I mean, we all need room, that's for sure, so, and it's a big lot. It's not like you're trying to squeeze something.
I
can
think
see.
it'll look really good when it's done.
Yeah, so it's just a very strange setup, the way it's angled.
It's gonna be tough.
And it's tough for you to design something to match with that.
Oh,
Like,
it definitely will be tough.
That's all I have to say about it.
No, I agree. I think given, the shape of the lot as well as, the prior zoning district that it was in, I think he's established sufficient hardship for what is in essence a de minimis, variance. So,
Would someone like to make a petition? Motion, excuse me.
I'll make a motion to approve the petition of Jared Driscoll, 165 Myers Avenue,
Excuse me, 164.
164 Myers Avenue, Abington, for frontage area and side yard variances to construct a mudroom and attached two-family garage and bedroom addition at 164 Myers Avenue, under Abington zoning bylaws, section 175-29. The property is located on Assessor's Map 10, Lot 47, in the R30 zone.
We have a motion, do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Good luck.
Thank you very much. Good evening.
Thank you, John. Nice seeing you, Russ.
Everyone knows his haircut.
I'm sorry.
No, it's been the talk of the town.
Wish I could do
man,
that.
you know?
Wait
I
till
have
they
to call
see,
my barber and say thank you.
wait till they see you on TV, John.
Yeah.
All right, it being after 7:10, the petition of Edward Doolin, 22 Laurie Ave, will be heard.
Town of Abington Zoning Board of Appeals will hold a public hearing on Thursday, April 13th, 2017, at 8:10 at the Abington Town Offices, 500 Goinski Way, Abington, on the petition of Edward Doolin, 22 Laurie Ave, Abington, for a special permit for an existing in-law apartment at 22 Laurie Ave, under Abington zoning bylaws, section 17532I. The property is located Assessors Map 3, Lot 4, in a highway commercial R30 zone.
Right.
I went by it today.
All righty. You have the floor, sir.
That's it?
Oh, you just
get
have to
make your case.
make your case.
Speak up, I
Okay,
had a hard,
we bought this whole house. And now I'm going through, I own this property. I own the in-law apartment. So I don't understand what I'm here for.
You already have an in-law?
It's already in, it's already there. It's already there.
And I saw a lot of work going on, but,
Let's just move
so
it in,
someone had
correct?
it before you, I take it?
yes.
Okay, so now you're trying to reinstate it.
Oh, the board recognizes the
Mr.
building
Adams.
inspector.
How you doing?
Good.
The special permit to have an in-law, when the previous owner sold it, that special permit becomes null and void unless they sold it to a relative. And you're not related, I'm assuming. Therefore, it requires that you reapply for the special permit to have the in-law. That's all.
That's it.
That's it.
That's it.
Well, that's what we bought it for.
All
You
right.
bought it for the in-law?
Mainly, if we
Okay.
didn't have the in-law, we wouldn't have bought it.
I guess.
And you're having family move in.
Oh, everybody's been here since December.
Okay.
And happy.
I think
Yeah.
they've made their
Yeah, I
case.
think we made the case.
I'm gonna try and speed things up. I'm gonna close it to the
Oh,
table for a moment
Anybody
and
floor?
open it to the floor. Would anyone like to speak regarding this? Thank you. We're gonna close it.
Once a year, we have to fill out a form that was still.
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Notarized, and,
Do you send us a form?
no, you gotta do it yourself.
We have to come up here.
Right.
And when's the year? As of
January
today?
1st, correct?
I
That's the what.
don't believe that it's been established. Actually, I would probably prefer when, as soon as the 20-day appeal period from this hearing expires, you record then you should fill out the form. Otherwise, I'll be inundated at the first of every year. So we'll do them, and I will have somebody that will be attending to these. We haven't in the past. I haven't had the personnel to do that, but I hope to be getting people to do that. So assuming this is voted on favorably, 20 days after it's down at the clerk's office, you come up, take it down, record it, and then you can fill out the form from my office, and they'll notarize it at the clerk's office across the hall, and you're good. And we should be notifying, and will be, I intend to have everybody notifying you people in the future, people with in-laws.
Okay.
All right?
All right, so at this point, I'm going to close it to the public, bring it back to the board. What in some ways troubles me is that in 10 years, this is the first time I've heard this hearing,
Oh, wow.
which makes me think of all the in-law apartments, houses with
No,
in-laws.
la, 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 la.
I do not know, sir, and I will state of, because I'm not a realtor or anything like that, I don't know of any transactions that have occurred. But I'm just saying,
Well,
I've
we
never
appreciate
had
you
this
coming
hearing. This
for
is
the
a
board.
first for me.
I did meet one other one
Oh,
So that said,
off of
maybe
Hancock Street.
that was one of my rare absences, because I love this job so much.
If I didn't own the house, I could understand it,
I understand.
okay? But I own this in-law apartment.
yeah.
Righto.
yeah.
If you
So-
sell it and we approve tonight, it reverts back to,
Righto,
Yeah, that makes sense.
righto.
okay, so you know next
Becomes a
time the
single
new
family
people coming in.
So you're doing the right thing. Definitely doing the
So,
right
would anyone like to make a,
I just want to make sure that we put in some language here, that we met everything here. Number one, I think it meets maintains the character of the neighborhood, it's not substantially different. I just think it's a nice house and well-maintained, and so it's not detrimental. Okay, I said enough.
Excellent.
thank you, John, I do appreciate that. Would someone like to make a motion regarding the petition of Ed Doolin?
Make a motion to approve the petition of Ed Doolin, 22 Laurie Avenue, Abington, for a special permit for an existing in-law apartment at 22 Laurie Avenue. Under Abington zoning bylaws, section 175-32I, the property is located on Assessor's Map 3, Lot 4, in the Highway Commercial R30 zone.
We have a motion, do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Okay,
you.
Thank you.
She has a letter for you.
Okay, thanks, Nancy.
Thank you for your time.
Okay, thank you.
All righty, it being a little after 7:15,
Just a little.
just a touch. The vice chair will read the petition of David and Ida Frazier.
The Town of Abington Zoning Board of Appeals will hold a public hearing on Thursday, April 13th, 2017 at 8:20 at the Abington Town Halls. Abington, on a petition of David and Ida Frazier, 1148 Washington Street, Abington, for a special permit to add on existing detached garage exceeding allowed 875 square feet to 1,168 square feet under Abington zoning bylaws, section 175-26C. The property is located at Assessors Map 46, Lot 28, in an R30 zone.
Come on up.
Come on up.
Just checking. Good evening, my name is Doug Ulwick, I'm an architect, and I am in Abington at Dale Street, and I'm here today with David Frazier. Ida is in the audience as well, and we're here to look for a special permit. There is on the property on Washington Street, this property is right across from Lantern Lane, if you're familiar with the neighborhood, and it's a home that has been the family for a very long time. At the back of the residence right now is a detached accessory building. A little more than half of it is used as a single-car garage, an oversized single-car garage, and the rest of it, there's a dotted line actually on the plan that Mr. Wheatley prepared, is actually used as a storage shed. So that's what's out there now. The zoning bylaw as it exists allows us to have the equivalent of about a three-car garage. Again, 875 square feet. The existing structure is 675, so we're under that now. But David has a wonderful hobby of building and creating hot rods, might be the correct way to word it. He doesn't do it as a business, but he does it. And he takes a long time to produce them, it seems, but the current garage is totally taken up with that function. So he would like to have additional space, and it's roughly the size of a four-car garage. Again, we're allowed about a three-car garage size in zoning. This would be for the equivalent of a four-car garage once you add up all the square footage. In terms of setbacks, we meet and greatly exceed all of them. As an accessory building, we really only need to be about 10 feet off the property line, and the nearest on this is 30 feet, so we're 3 times what is required. It's a fairly comfortable, it's an oversized lot at 1.41 acres, so it seems like a good fit, and that's what we'd like to do.
Do you have any drawings as to the appearance it may?
Of course.
I would expect so.
In the driveway, is there a,
The driveway's existing.
I just don't see it on the map, so.
Okay.
I see it on here.
Yeah, it's paved.
Is it paved right to the back?
I saw you out there today working.
Actually, I didn't get to go to this one, so.
You can pass it around, I guess I brought one.
Sure, no, that's.
So it's just a basic garage.
So this is, so
One-story.
this is what's adding on to the existing
Exactly.
garage?
Right.
Okay.
Here's the existing, here's the proposed.
Okay.
So it's basically,
You can pass that down. Okay. I guess my question on this, Doug, is, just to make this straight on my head. So this is the existing garage now, the shaded area?
Correct.
Correct? And you have a note that's, oh, so the shed is towards the front of the existing?
Exactly. It's called out as shed, yes.
Right.
And then the 17-foot dimension.
Yeah, it's-
Within the shell.
So this gets excavated, and that's just a pad?
Yes, actually, right now, there is a pad that takes up the entire side. At one point, we were talking about incorporating it into the structure. It's actually going to go away, and it would just be an apron out front.
Okay. So the, I mean, what I like about this is it's set back, so you're not driving by and seeing like garages and that kind of stuff. I don't think visually it makes much difference on the neighborhood. You know, so then, will there be, like, you know, if someone was standing, say, there, would they be seeing 1 or 2 garage doors?
One.
One, okay.
A person door and a garage door.
Got it.
And in that width, we only have about, what do we do for width? 19 feet. I can't fit more than one garage door anyway.
And I do like that it's deeper than wider on a lot that tends to be deeper, which
Follows the shape.
preserves your, yeah, it follows the shape, preserves your setback, and I think makes it visually less,
It abuts the neighbor's backyard too, so it's not
Right.
obstructed.
Not right out their windows.
Right.
Exactly.
right, but
That's-
like you said, not, you know, a lot of times we look at garages and accessory buildings and we're, you know, at that point, we're getting, you know, 5, 6 feet from,
yeah, it's a large lot. It's a very strange
I
L-sized
agree.
lot.
A dog leg in this neighborhood is a wonderful piece of land, actually.
Yes.
right. Any other comments from anyone here at the table?
You're not planning on selling it, are you?
Absolutely not.
Okay.
Been in the family forever, I think.
That's
hasn't
right,
it?
my great aunt and uncle owned it.
All right.
Then my parents, and then I got it.
Now, I saw you would be willing, and the condition here is, the addition on the, would be unheated with no utilities. So that will be conditioned, or,
If he were to change it, he'd have to apply for a permit to do
right.
it.
I realize it, but we could make it,
Well, no utilities mean.
You're gonna want power in there, aren't you?
yeah, I would.
Is it
that's
powered
why-
to the
Eventually, I'm
other?
gonna-
Is it powered to the other?
So
Oh,
if-
yeah, the other one's powered.
Okay, so this is just gonna be storage, not gonna
Then I'd
be,
wipe this out then, this line here.
I mean, I don't think there's a downside to putting power.
Yeah.
into it.
No,
I mean, other than throwing a toilet in there.
It does maintain the character of the neighborhood, I know that, because from the front, no, I just don't have anything else to say.
Okay.
Thank you.
I'm going to close it to the table, open it to the audience, if anyone who's been patient enough through all this would like to say anything at this point. Thank you. We're gonna close it to the audience, bring it back to the table. You know, what we're looking to and is, again, it's a special permit, basically to, you know, allow the garage to be 25% over, you know, what's normally allowed. There's only a special permit, and in this case, I think as some of us have expressed here, we're not creating a visual monstrosity for the neighbors or for the neighborhood. So I would tend to go along with this.
I agree too.
Would anyone like to make a motion regarding that?
I'll make a motion to approve the petition of David and Ida Frazier, 1148 Washington Street, Abington, for a special permit to add on to existing detached garage exceeding allowed 875 square foot to 1,168 square feet under Abington zoning bylaws, section 175-26C. The property is located on Assessor's Map 46, Lot 28, in the R30 zone.
Motion, do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you all.
Done and done.
Thank you.
Thank
Yep,
you.
take
Good luck.
care.
She has, Doug? She has, just the letter with the standard stuff. All righty. Last but not least, being after 7:20, the petition of 55 Wales Street LLC, 55 Wales Street, will be
Right.
Vice Chair.
The Town of Abington Zoning Board of Appeals will hold a public hearing on Thursday, April 13th, 2017, at 8:25 at the Abington Town Hall, offices, 500 Quincy Way, Abington, on the petition of 55 Wales Street LLC, 538 Bedford Street, Abington, for the variance to allow open-air consumption of food and drink within a fenced-in area, fenced-in rear yard area at 55 Wales Street, under Abington zoning bylaws, section 17521E3. The property is located Assessors Map 53, Lot 205, in an R20 zone.
All righty. Where's my Public Works? Excuse me. Proposal located on Assessor's Plan 53, Lot 205, appear to have no bearing on the sewer system.
What's that? Sean Riley, 500 Washington Street, Abington, representing here the 55 Whale Street LLC. Mr. Roger Woods, one of the principals, one of the members of the LLC, is here with me tonight. This is most commonly known throughout the town historically as the Polish Club on Whale Street. It's been basically a fraternal organization, private club here for decades. And Mr. Woods and partners have just recently purchased the property and have been undertaking significant renovations inside and outside the property, cleaning up the property in many ways. And the reason we're here today is they're trying to basically keep up with the competition and utilize their property to maintain its best value, and that it would be by getting the authority to have drinks and food in the rear of their property, which is a segregated and fenced-off area. Under the bylaw, under section 17521E3, you would need a variance here because this property is unique in that it falls in an R20 zone. The Polish Club has been in existence in Abington for well over 75 years. essentially, this was the core of this neighborhood. This was where a lot of the Polish people lived, on the Whale Street, North Abington area. That's why you see a lot of multifamilies in that area. And as the population changed a little bit, the uses of that changed, and became more of a community-wide hall for first communions, birthday parties, family parties on the upper floor, and there was still the private bar on the first floor, and that continues to be the same today. Since the 55 Whale Street LLC has purchased the property, however, there's been some significant changes in kind of operations. It used to be you'd drive by and you'd see people smoking out on the front sidewalk. You'd see 20 or 30 people out there on the sidewalk on the front deck there, and that's been kind of squashed for the past couple of years. And they had the option of either going out back or out front, and now they're only allowed to be out back. And the interior has been cleaned up, both at the function hall and in the bar area, and we submitted to you, a pretty detailed layout to show you the area in question. And the area itself is an existing grass area with a small patio area that has about 20 seats. That has been in existence. We already use the property. Our patrons go out there during the day and at night, and Roger's passing out some copies of some of the photos, and I brought some extras also.
What was it today?
So you can see it's mostly grass, and there is that small patio. Nothing is changing physically. But unfortunately, while people can go outside, and they do go outside right now to smoke, or to talk, or to play horseshoes, or to play bago, which I think you're all familiar with it.
I didn't see the horseshoe pit.
No, he had another word, I've never seen that one.
They have, they go out there and they play, whatever they want to do, they hang out there, but they're not allowed to bring a drink or a hamburger out there.
You like cornhole, what does that mean?
Cornhole?
Cornhole, that's
I
at
just
the
didn't think that
board.
was appropriate to put down. That's why you
Cornhole,
said
bago, everyone
Thank you,
call it.
sir.
Oh, I got it,
I don't
yeah.
like cornhole, so.
Yeah, I thought
it.
it was something else.
No,
We are
no.
being recorded, yeah.
For everyone who knows that beanbag game.
The
that you
beanbag
see,
game.
You
Yes.
throw into the hole there. It's called multiple different things, but different things help go out there. It's only accessible through the bar. It's not accessible from any other point other than coming through the bar. There is a second egress for emergency purposes, and as the drawing shows and the photo showed, it is already surrounded by fencing and the building itself. There is no entertainment out there, there's no band or anything. There is already a light, we're not changing the lighting. And most importantly, they've already been to the Board of Selectmen's office, Board of Selectmen's hearing. And this past Monday night, the Selectmen approved the alteration of license to allow them to bring alcohol out to the back of the backyard area. They would also have to go and get whatever permits necessary from the Board of Health as far as food goes. There already is existing food in the building, they're just not allowed to sit in the patio at this point in time. It being in the middle of a neighborhood, I'm sure, was a question of the Board of Selectmen, and I'm sure it's a question of this board, and that's one of the reasons for the variance, really, is because we're the only one, we are pretty much one of the oldest bars in Abington, and one of the only one that's actually right in the middle of a neighborhood. As I mentioned, the history of it was the Polish enclave and history of Abington. Most of the other outdoor seatings are on Route 18. There are some neighbors that abut some of them, for example, Mia Ragazza or the Ale House or Sorrells, but a little bit differently. But to that point, the other night when the selectmen were on TV, some of our neighbors were watching, and they wanted to express their support for this project. And if you don't mind, I'd like to submit to you a number of letters from some of our neighbors. I have copies.
Is there any from anyone behind the
Yes.
building?
Yeah,
Really?
I'd like to go through these with you.
The three-family there, or whatever that was?
I don't know if Marsh would like one. So the first one is from Mr. Lee Hickey, who actually was one of the guys who went around, and he's kind of the neighborhood ringleader, was talking to some of the neighbors prior to the selectmen's meeting. And you can see his letter. My name is Lee Hickey. I live at 32 Whale Street, across from the Polish Club. I'm writing this letter in support of the Polish Club's outside drinking and eating. I've lived across the Polish Club for 62 years. Roger's been the best manager by far ever at the Polish Club. He talks to all of us neighbors. He keeps the place very clean and organized. The Polish Club has my full support for their application. That's, again, Lee Hickey. The next letter is from Bonnie Tangaleri of 40 Whale Street. I live across the street from the Polish Club and support the request to add food and drinking to the backyard. The third, my name is Megan Griffin. I'm a tenant that abuts the Polish Club. I support approval of their request. They have never been a problem since the new management, and they work hard on the property. And it's Megan from 52 Whale Street. The next letter, I live at 626 Whale Street and have no problem with the Polish Club's request. They've done an excellent job in the last year to fix up the property and clean things up. That's from Leo Barrows. The next one from John and Jean LeBlanc. We live directly across the street from the Polish Club. We have no problem with the application for the rear yard expansion. We know we can contact Roger directly if any concerns arise. And then the last one we have here is from Sandy Interland, which is 38 North Ave. Dear Mr. Chairman, I live directly behind the Polish Club, abutting the rear yard area. I support their application to add food and drink to the outside. They are a great group, and I've never had any issues since Roger's taken over. I know if there are any issues, I can call Roger, and we'll take care of them. I hope you approve their request. There was one other, now, I should note that Sandy is the owner-occupant of the multifamily right behind her, and the other one that you
Yeah, because
looking
you can
at.
see that when you get, I went there
Right.
today, and, I mean, it's right there, you can't miss it when you get up
And
back.
the other owner-occupant, unfortunately, did not sign her letter, but she has expressed her complete support. Luckily enough, they're both owner-occupied, so these people are not just renting out. Some of them are rented out, and that's why we got some tenants and some
She's out of
owners.
town. It isn't that she didn't, she's out of town. She's
Okay.
been out of town for the last 4 days. So that's the only reason.
It's just a big building, I
She
noticed.
talks to Sandy all the time, and Sandy called and said she's not gonna be around, but she, you know, you have her full support, so. We have a good rapport with the neighbors, which didn't exist before. That was the first thing we did when we bought the property. I went around and knocked on all the doors, gave them my contact info, and it's worked out extremely well since then. We haven't had any problems.
I'd like to submit the original letters to Nancy.
I gave Nancy a
Okay,
copy.
well, let me give you the originals, and I'll
Fine.
take a copy back, okay?
When did you buy the property, Roger?
July 30th, 2015.
So can I ask, what times are you talking about?
The selectmen approved, just bear with me, Sunday night till 9, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday till 10, Saturday, Sunday, Friday, Saturday till 11.
And Mr. Coyle said if everything works out well, then you can come back and see if you'd want any extra, but right now, we're completely satisfied with that.
And no radio, no music, I mean.
Yeah, it says in here
Yeah, we did.
that no live music or.
We have no interest in music anyway.
That was,
So did you give these letters of support to the selectmen?
No, they contacted me Tuesday.
Tell me, did the people know that it was going to be open till 9 and 10 and 11?
They did, because they saw the hearing on Monday night.
They saw on TV.
Yeah, that's why the letters were generated.
They contacted me Tuesday. We
Because-
didn't bring any letters to the selectmen's office, I didn't think we needed to.
Because the selectmen had similar questions, have you talked to your neighbors, or have you talked to your neighbors, Roger did, and the letters confirmed, they all say, they know Roger's cell phone number, as any good businessman would do, but especially a bar, in the historical nature of this neighborhood and in this building itself. So we appreciate the support, and not only their support, but their willingness to put it in writing to you, because we anticipated that would have been a concern. But the selectmen have already restricted the hours, and they're further restricted, obviously, by time of year and
Well,
weather.
they're not totally restricted, 9 and 10 and 11. So your neighbours have no problem with the chaps playing horseshoes and having drinks up till 11 o'clock on Friday and Saturdays, up till 10 o'clock on the other day.
They're out there later now.
They're out there later now.
Yeah, they just can't drink. Just to be perfectly upfront, when I took the bar over, before we owned it, they drank everywhere there. When we took it over, we stopped it.
Yeah, I did see the sign there at the door, it said no
We
beer.
stopped it, so they can't go outside, and we haven't had anybody violate our rule, because we do, believe it or not, we do things by the book. So, like, if you look at the yard now, it looked like Fallujah when we took it over. This fall, we just did the whole backyard over, more for a safety concern. That's why you don't see the new pits. We took the pits out that were there, because it was potholes, right, I mean, it was
Yeah,
unbelievable.
everything, it looked very nice,
So,
I must say.
so to answer your question, they're out there playing horseshoes. You know, I'll be honest, we didn't go up, we haven't put them back in now because we knew we were coming. So I didn't want to put them out. I wanted to wait till we
Smart man.
do it.
Do you think the noise level is going to increase as the guys drink more beer? and
No,
play
because
horseshoes?
I'll be honest with you. If somebody had a few, they're out there already. You follow what I'm saying? They're not gonna consume more than they're consuming now because they can go outside.
The other thing, Mr. Bergen, this would be now subject to, if the zoning board grants this, and there was an issue, that can be immediately addressed by the Board of Selectmen and/or the Board of Health.
Oh, no, that's not the issue. The issue is, this is a residential area, and you're asking for them to have a pub outside in a residential area. Is this an R20? Is that?
Right,
correct.
So this is a small residential area, and actually we know it, because we all live around there. And you're asking for, I mean, are you aware of the other bars in Abington? Do they say the Abington Ale House? Which is
They
very
close,
far
they
from-
close for the winter, actually. That's shut down seasonal.
And during the summer though, are they
Yeah.
open till 11 o'clock at night?
Oh, I'm
They're
not
open
sure all the
till- they're open
time.
till 1 o'clock, or where the last call is.
But that's on Route 18. You're
Right.
talking about a
There's no
small
housing.
residential area.
Yeah.
So
Right.
you're, again, you're asking for a variance in a small residential area to do an open-air consumption, food and drink. How do you think that's not going to affect the people who live there?
We certainly think that, there's gonna be more people out there, and that's why we've been in touch with the neighbors. And as we just read off to you, the neighbors understand what we're asking for.
Well, some of the neighbours do, and of course they move, right? In zoning, we have to think about people that are living here, and those are selling.
If there are issues on a licensed establishment, an alcohol
No,
license,
it's not an issue with the license, it's an issue with the use of this land. It's an
Dennis, if you let me answer the question. If you grant this tonight, that doesn't mean that we can bring alcohol out there unless the selectmen also grant the
We've
license,
already done that, we know that,
unless the selectmen grant the license and the ABCC.
yeah.
If there becomes nuisances or issues of violation of licenses, whatever, nuisance to the neighbors, the selectmen have a right to have a show cause hearing to address it immediately.
Well, it's not the selectmen, we're not talking about the selectmen, and the Board of Selectmen are an elective body. They're politicians. They make, just like the planning, they are elected and they make decisions. And they actually rely on regulatory bodies to actually exercise the law, to say what the law is and say when we have to have a variance, like today, or where we shouldn't have a variance. That's why we're appointed. That's the whole reason we have something like the Zoning Board of Appeals, right?
Yes, to grant variances and special permits when,
So here you're asking us to do something in a small residential area to allow people to go out late at night. It seems like every night, some nights till 11, some nights to 10, some nights to 9, to have a few drinks, a few pops, and play horseshoes. That seems a rather loud thing to do at night time. I think myself, I often, in my own area, sometimes my neighbours go out and have a drink late at night and are having chats, and I'm sure I do it too, and that can be obnoxious. But you know what? That's a residential. That's residential, and you stop it. But you're asking for something, a commercial group, to actually allow these people to go out and have drinks. How does that comply with the Oral 20, with the idea that people can go to sleep at night? Why should we give a variance for that?
okay.
What's the hardship?
Now, remember, we are pre-existing.
Now, what's the hardship now in this?
Dennis, may I answer the question and not get interrupted when I'm trying to finish a sentence? We are a pre-existing use in this neighborhood. The Polish Club has been there probably before some of these neighbors and residents moved in. They moved in knowing they were near the Polish Club. Some of them are patrons of the Polish Club. The Polish Club has functions there all the time. There are people that are exiting when they have receptions. It is no lie, as a typical a function hall, they're leaving at 12 o'clock or 1 o'clock at night, and there's 60 people walking down the street going back to their cars.
Because the
Yes.
parking is down the street.
Exactly, that's been
We have
going
about-
on.
We have about 15 spaces on the building. I have 50 some odd
Parking down.
parking.
yeah.
And we've bought 2 other buildings in the neighborhood for overflow parking that we're closing on in July.
This building, this actually is the new building that was built in the early 1950s. So the building has been there and has been part of this neighborhood, and as I said, has been the core of this neighborhood. It's not something that we put in. Now, unlike the Ale House or Sorrells or Miragaza, which were constructed later, this one has been there since that time. And what we're asking for is basically equal footing with others. And we're not asking to change anything that's already there. We're redesigning the thing. And it is limited, not only in the space that's limited, it's already surrounded, but the selectmen have already addressed just the issue you're mentioning.
No, but.
The selectmen have addressed the issue with the time.
No, Mr. Riley, they haven't addressed the issue that I'm asking about, is that how can you say that this should be allowed in R20? Honestly, Mr. Riley, I don't mean to be rude, and I certainly wouldn't stop anybody trying to make a living. I really wouldn't. But this is a residential area. We all know the area. It's a small area of houses, and even if it's multi-level housing, in other words, apartments, they're entitled to their sleep at night. And whatever an elective board like the selectmen do, we have to exercise the rules, the laws, the bylaws. And you haven't told me once why these people should have a variance. The fact that they were already there, so the people who moved there should have known that their sleep is going to be interrupted, that's not actually a good reason. And if you're going to rely on that, that's not a reason for the board to give the variance. You know that.
No, that's not true, because it's a pre-existing non-conforming use. It's like moving next to the train or moving next to an airport. I mean, you take what is there, okay? I mean, it's something that we all have to adjust to, and that's what zoning bylaw.
If you live beside a pub, you're going to know it's going to be loud. Is that what you're saying?
As it is right now, Dennis, they're allowed to be out there till the pub closes at 12 or 1 o'clock at night. They're allowed already to be out there. People are out there right now.
They're allowed to be out there?
Yes, the neighbors experience that already.
No, have we allowed the people to be out there?
Yes.
Are you telling us?
It's a smoking area, correct?
Yes.
Correct.
They can.
Oh, yeah, but you're not talking.
They can't bring their
you're
drink
not
out
talking about
there.
drinking.
They can't bring their.
No one's drank outside since I own the
Right,
building.
so
It's a smoking area.
They may have been drinking. They may have been drinking for 2 or
What are
3
you
hours.
asking us?
They're clearly drinking
You're-
inside and going outside.
Right.
I mean,
And
except for my two people.
to say
that don't.
along with what you're saying here, the places that you listed here, the cellar and Mio de Gaz and Swell, if I'm not mistaken, those are not in residential districts.
They are, the seller's in a CBD district,
Yeah,
as is,
that's what Deanne's,
Deanne's is a highway commercial, I
Right.
believe.
and Mio de Gaza, highway commercial.
I'm really surprised to hear about cellar. I mean, where do they take their drinks outside?
In the
Yeah,
back.
they drink outside at the
In
cellar.
that little tented area?
Yeah.
Yeah, they needed a variance to be there in the CBD district, and it was granted. The only reason I would suggest that the depot doesn't have it is because if you go out the back to the depot, you're standing on the train tracks.
There you go.
What I was saying, there isn't much residential around these buildings that you listed, the cellar, residential, that's all I'm saying, Mio de Gaza, Sorrells.
The Deanne's is close to a residential area, and so is
In the back.
Mia.
Well, I'm not sure Deanne's is the greatest example, as there's a history of noise violations and that sort of thing in that area.
Right.
Which was raised and discussed a number of years ago when the lady purchased Emerald Hall, and at that time realized that there were actually taps out in the backyard. And so she, upon looking at purchasing that property, had envisioned doing outdoor weddings and that sort of thing. And while that is a large property, the idea of having parties in the back 40, so to speak, and at that point, abutting the neighbors was discouraged by the board.
In the grove of trees behind Emerald Hall.
Correct. And
There still are gatherings there, but I know what you're speaking of.
right.
No alcohol to be served outside.
Right, well, and that was the
That
thing,
was
and.
what I brought up.
And as a result, Deanne's was certainly mentioned at that point because of their patio area and the music, and I don't know the hours, I don't do that sort of thing much, so this is a big concern for us, where, I have no doubt, my dealings with Mr. Woods in the past, he's always been a professional and very responsive to his neighbors, to his butters, and very good at his work. At the same time, the request is for a variance, wherein if and when the property changes hands, unlike the people who were up for the 5-second in-law hearing, the variance goes with the property, and the variance goes to the new owner. So that's my concern at this point.
It's not a special permit.
But the liquor license doesn't unless they satisfy and have another hearing. and they have to qualify.
There are certain things, but once we as a board give a permission in terms of any sort of variance, it's pretty much forever, is my understanding. And I think that's kind of the overview of what we're looking at here. Is there anyone at the board, I mean, on the table, who wants to make any further comments before I open it to the floor?
Well, when I was there today, I noticed that this the large fence right here, and the fence that runs along the back is like falling down. I mean, I kind of like the size of that fence right here.
We have no problem, our plan is to do that all
But
the
a
way
larger
around.
fence?
Yeah.
that
I think
would-
the fence we have there is 10 feet, no, it's about 10
I mean,
feet.
that was a large fence. Unfortunately, it was open. I don't know why it's open, but, I mean, I had to sign in to get in the front door, but I could have walked around the
We were getting
back.
deliveries today.
Oh, okay. What you did to the back is really nice, I gotta say. I did go inside. It was very nice inside. But that's something that, when I walk out that back door, and I saw your little sign there, no alcohol drinks, and the first thing I see is that big building in the back, and the fence falling down. So, my suggestion would be, put something like that up. It's not a huge area at all. I mean, you cannot put a large amount of people in there. I mean,
No,
Can I just?
Yes, please.
Can I just say something? We haven't had any problems since we've taken the bar over. And I'll be honest, I know Mr. Mullen from, he knows him in real estate. I'm not looking around a place that I have to be down there
every day.
busting heads and have bouncers. We don't do that. We don't have to do that. I don't want to do that. We have a great rapport with our neighbors, which is why they approached me for the letters. I didn't call them and say, I need letters from you guys for zoning board, because if I was gonna do that, I would have done it for the selectman's office. You know what I mean? We haven't had any problem with police. We take care of the grounds almost on a daily basis, if not every other day. I talk to my neighbors all the time. We're down there. Nick's my assistant, who's behind me here. We're there 7 days a week. I'm at that place every day. I respect the concern about, the neighbors and the noise. We've addressed that. We haven't had one complaint. There's no neighbor here. They've had 2 notices for 2 hearings this week.
Well,
Oh,
actually.
no, let me finish,
the
please.
notice is
But let me
to
finish,
the
please.
others, right?
Let me finish, please.
So
Because
you want
the 2 buildings, if I may, the 2 buildings in the back are owner occupied. One's a 2-family that they only use as a single that Sandy lives in. The other lady lives there with the few apartments, and she has no problem with it. So I respect what you're saying, but we've addressed that. I have letters from all of the neighbors except the lady that's out of town. They approached me. I didn't go to them and say, listen, come in for free drinks, give me a letter, because we don't need to do that. We run one of the better places in town. We do a tremendous amount of charity work through the hall to donate to everybody. This is just something as a convenience to the people that are there. Are we gonna make more money? I think we are. If it becomes a problem, we're not gonna do it, because we're not gonna battle with our neighbors.
Yeah, and again, though, the fence is an
No,
issue.
you can make that
Yeah.
as a condition. I have no
That is
problem with that.
definitely an issue, I mean.
Because I'll be honest with you, that's not my fence.
Oh.
So I have no problem with you making that a condition, and we'll put the same size fence up, because we had planned to do that down the road anyway.
I'm sorry, I don't mean to interrupt you, but, the letters, which are super though, but, I mean, are they of all the people that live in the apartments too?
The tenants?
Yeah.
No.
Some of
Well,
them,
that's
some of them are.
some of them are tenants, some of them are owners.
That's who we're talking about. They have rights too. They may not pay taxes, but they have rights too to go to sleep at night, and they have children too. And to have a pub that's open until, 11 o'clock at night on a Friday and Saturday.
We're actually open at 1 o'clock.
Right.
Well, your pub is, and you're allowed to do that, right?
Right.
We're just talking about a small area that's outside, right?
Right.
You're gonna have these people drinking, playing horseshoes up to 11 o'clock at night. And the tenants of these people who own the buildings are gonna have to listen to that. Wouldn't that be right?
They listen to it now.
You want us to sign off on that?
They listen to that now, and we haven't.
Well, do they?
I do.
You have people drinking
All right, well, listen,
outside?
you're asking me, please let me answer. You're asking me.
Well, you're
Am
not
I,
answering.
I am answering, I'm
Not
trying
answering
to.
what I asked you.
I am answering. Am I asking you to approve that? I am. Because we do it till 1 o'clock in the morning now. We've never had a complaint. I
Dennis-
haven't had one, and I've never had a neighbor come to me and say, can you do this, can, watch this, we've never had a complaint. We run a tight ship. You're asking me, am I asking you to approve this? I am. Because we run a tight ship. We've shown a record since July of 2015. Look at the police log and see how many calls were there before I bought the bar.
I suppose I should explain that, you know, the zoning board, we have to enforce the laws.
I understand that.
But, you know, as an ordinary person who lives in Abington, I think it's outrageous to have people drinking in a small residential area late at night for the families around it. And I can't believe that you would ask a group to do it. You did ask the selectmen that you should be allowed to do that. There's nothing wrong with having a bar.
Yeah, it's been going on for over 65 years in this
The
neighborhood.
Polish club has.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, everybody's inside. Nobody's outside playing horseshoes and having a drink.
They're out playing horses, they're out there hanging out, and they're outside smoking. There's no doubt about it. Have you ever been in the back, have you inspected this and been in the
Are they
back?
having a drink?
No, they aren't right now.
And
They-
you can presume that with drink there goes noise. Wouldn't that be right?
Wouldn't you presume that the people who are out back have already had a few drinks? If that's, would you presume that? Is that a fair assumption?
Are you saying that people are out at night now up until 11 o'clock having a few drinks in the Polish club?
People are,
Outside?
outside, no.
No, no one's
I'm
outside.
asking,
That's the issue.
let me ask you, no, here's the issue. Is it fair to assume that at 11 or 12 o'clock right now, that the people who are outside have likely had a few drinks inside prior to being outside?
Absolutely.
That's fair to say.
Yeah, but that's not the issue. before.
Yes, it is, because that means there are people outside right now who have been drinking alcohol, that are making whatever level of noise that the neighbors do not object to. In fact, we showed you 6 letters from surrounding neighbors where they support this application.
They should
The
be
only thing
allowed
that changes now is that they can go through the door with that beer or with a hamburger. This
I
is,
don't know if that is such a comforting picture to draw, to be honest. The idea that people that are rowdy anyway at 11 o'clock at night.
who said they're rowdy? We haven't had any
That we're
police
going off track.
response.
That, we're not, that, I gotta take exception to that.
Yeah.
I have to
Well,
take
Mr.
exception to
Woods
that.
is right. I mean, the issue is simply.
With all due respect, you're accusing us of being rowdy, and you know what? I take exception to that. We run a tight ship. We've never had a call for the police at our place, ever. We don't allow it. We manage it tight. When we took this place over, it's a private club, I'll be honest with you. We took 8 people the day we bought the bar and kicked them out that hung around there because they shouldn't be there.
So this is a private club?
This is a private club. You have to have a key card to get in.
What
But
sign
that's not an issue. And, you know, like the
Or if you
license
come
is-
down, I can sign you in as a member.
It does, Dennis, though, it affects it.
I mean, I agree. I agree
It
with
controls
you. Drink
who
is
is
an
in the
issue, but
property
it's not an issue about
and
license.
when they're in the property. And, well, I think Mr. Negrelli said, you've been out there and seen it. It's a controlled area. It's not that large an area.
Not large at all, no.
No, and it is, there are already bodies and voices out there. Not in the middle of winter, it's too cold. I mean, some people go out there and smoke in any weather, you know, that'll happen. But this is, and unfortunately, even to just get the food permit, we have to ask for a variance. Just to be able to bring your french fries and your burger outside, you have to have a variance at the Polish Club, just because where it's situated. And one of the hardships is, we've been situated there since the actually previous to that, but in this building since the 1950s, and we can't just pick up and move. We've been part of that community, and to continue, this is where restaurants, businesses, pubs are going, to have the fresh air, eating, drinking. If there's a problem outside where things get rowdy, the normal reaction would be, police would get called by neighbors because things are out of hand. If police get called, police would file to the selectmen. If selectmen get called, they have a show cause, they revoke the license, so you cannot bring liquor out there. That's the solution to your concerns, Dennis.
No, it's not. No, the issue is simply, what you're asking us is simply, should they be allowed to party outside, right? Oh, isn't that right?
To
That
bring,
there should
to
be
bring alcohol and bring
drink.
food outside.
That's the issue that the voting.
But your concern was it would be loud, rowdy, or out of control. And I said, if that happens, the selectmen have the right to revoke the permit. Is that correct?
Oh, I don't know about that.
Okay, that is correct.
See,
I'll tell you,
it's
it
not-
is correct.
It's beyond my ken, because that's not the issue. The issue before the voting members is, should they allow food and drink in this fenced area where it's a small residential?
But Dennis, you can't say it's not the issue when you brought up the issue and said, my concern is hours of people being out there in noise or numbers.
That is my concern.
Right, and that can be addressed by the licensing authority, the Board of Selectmen or the ABCC.
We're the license authority on this issue right now.
Yes, but I'm telling you how to address that.
Decision. It's not the selectmen. This is not an issue about who drinks and whether the poor guys should have a drink out there. It's whether these people are going to sign off on people being allowed to drink late at night in this area instead of staying in the bar. That's simply
They're
it. And
restricted
this is a
in
small-
time already by the selectmen.
It's nothing to do with the selectmen. This is an issue for zoning. all right? It's a zoning issue.
I still haven't seen the hardship either. The hardship you're gonna say existed, and now no one wanted it before, now it becomes a hardship because you want to do it now?
The hardship is the placement of that, our building is in a
No,
resident.
I understand that.
You're
So
saying
you're
that
going for a use variance,
residential
which the
zone-
courts are
Sorry.
not very,
So can I ask, are you saying that the fact it's in a residential area is the hardship?
Yeah, the fact that there's a commercial building in a residential, surrounded by residential uses creates a hardship, because any commercial building that's near residences, there's conflict. That's why I have zoning bylaws. That's why we have public hearings. That's why we ask the neighbors for their opinion. That's why the neighbors vote their support for this. And you can't just ignore the fact that the neighbors are in favor of this. They support everything that Roger's proposing, and they think this would be a good investment.
So what about Mr. Mullins' point that a variance means this continues on forever?
It certainly does. That doesn't mean that he can abandon it, or that if the selectmen revoke that license, it ends right there. The variance is still there, but if the selectmen revoke that license, no more drinking outside, and once 2 years pass, it's abandoned. And then it stops running with the
Look
land.
into what the selectmen do. I mean, they've already given their comment on this.
I think it would be, that the zoning board certainly should look at what the selectmen have done,
Why is that?
because
They approved it.
they
Why
approved it.
should we take that into account? as
We
a
should take it into
reputable-
account if they turned it down. Just like if you had 6 letters in the mail today that were all negative against us, you should take that into consideration. What I'm saying is you should give it the same weight when they're positive.
That's exactly right.
We're not coming in with a marginal
Are any
bar.
of- are any of
Let
the
me
neighbors there
finish, please.
selectmen?
We're not coming in with a marginal bar that has problems. We're coming in with a bar that we run a clean establishment, but the neighbors all behind everything we've done there.
This does not give us carte blanche to run wild at unrestricted hours with unrestricted, and violate laws and be nuisances. There are checks and balances on every bar in this town. If any bar did that, the police and the board and the selectmen can revoke that license. We understand that, and we haven't had any problems, and we, the public safety officials, basically, are glad that Roger's been in there. So we would ask the voting members to please support this application, as the selectmen have done. We will do our best to maintain this, and I hope that you'll come by sometime and check it out, and I think you'll see that it is a well-run establishment, not offensive to the neighbors, supported by the neighbors.
You would agree that we are one of the checks and balances there, the zoning board?
Certainly. But, and so isn't the Board of Health.
Good luck with her.
And so isn't the police and everybody else.
I know it's getting a little late, but record.
I know Sharon.
Okay.
I'm going to close it to the table for a moment, open it to the floor, as there are 2 people in the audience. If you wish to say anything regarding this, ask that you state your name and address and say your opinion.
So my name's Eric Schuler. I live at 66 North Avenue. I also speak on behalf of my neighbor, 8 North Avenue. He's actually, ironically, in Poland. It's loud enough with the cigarette smokes. Both of us, I have a 3-family with 3 patios. Essentially, they all overlook this area, and my neighbor shares a corner with this area also. It's loud enough with the cigarette smoking. If food and drink is allowed out there, it's just going to keep people out there. You're going to get non-smokers out there, and I think it's just going to be too loud.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You, sir? You're going to close it to the public and bring it back to the board. I actually do have one more question for you gentlemen, which is, not being particularly familiar with this, it seems to me in some ways you're making this almost like an al fresco restaurant, but you, Mr. Riley, keep saying that they're going to be bringing the food out. Is this, I don't know this place one way or another, so is this, is this going to be food service where you have waitresses and stuff like that, and people are going to be coming out and
Right now, people get their food at the bar.
Mhm.
Or the bartender brings it around to the tables,
Where's the kitchen?
right behind the bar.
Okay.
And there's also a kitchen upstairs in the function room, at the end of the function room. So when we do that outside, we'd have a waitress work probably Thursday, Friday, Saturday night.
And you can see with the photos, the limitation is literally, what, 5 tables?
Right.
We're not moving the restaurant outside.
So you're not expanding this at all from what
We don't have to do
what
what
we're
you
looking at
saw.
right now? You're not putting another patio in
Nope,
there?
nope.
You're not?
Nothing. That's it.
My biggest issue is, again, the visual. You walk back there, you got that fence falling down. If the fence was higher, I think maybe it would block out some of the sound.
We have no problem with that as a condition to put the same size fence up.
I mean, my concerns are, I think our noise, light, and in some essence, the encouragement of having the crowd migrate outside, where currently it seems to me it's more just a place to get some fresh air and have a cigarette, and, you know, that now we're saying, all right, so there are 5 4-seat tables, so now we're saying, you know, 20 people can go out there. I'm nervous that it's in such a tight area.
But only until those restricted times also, if you're gonna eat or drink.
Correct, but, you know, most nights, you know, I'm in bed by like 9:30, so if I was abutting that and was hearing the clank of horseshoes and something like that, you know, I'm not sure I'd be pleased with that, and I'm not sure that even that would violate any noise structures, having read the noise abatement rules.
Right, but again,
Town, so not sure that, like, even registering a formal complaint would carry any weight at that point. I'm not sure that's an enforceable.
not to beat a dead horse, but we're allowed as a right to be out there,
Current.
right? They can,
Correct.
they can play Yahtzee if they wanna do out, they can be outside the building as long as they're on our grounds, cause it's secured. It's, the alcohol issue is now restricted, you know, 9 o'clock on, basically on the weeknights, Monday to whatever it was.
Sunday night, 9.
Yeah.
Monday through Thursday, 10.
The
11
nights-
on Friday, Saturday.
The nights when the bar is usually, most used like any other bar, and the function room on the weekends. Yes, that's when you're gonna hear more people, but you do that now. You hear more people coming in and out, coming down the street, coming out of the function hall. It's not gonna be, you know, it's seasonal, obviously, and, you know, it would be a nice support for the investment and for the business in Abington and for the investment that's been made. I hope you'll consider, and I appreciate what this gentleman said, and I'm sure Roger's gonna talk to him after and share phone numbers, that any issue like that can be nipped in the bud. And that doesn't, and Roger has a right to further restrict what the selectmen have done if he never needed to or wanted to. But, considering the consensus of the neighbors and the support of the selectmen, I would just hope the board would give us the opportunity.
Is this conforming or non-conforming?
It's a non-conforming,
Right.
in respect that, had the applicant bought this empty building these days, they would have to, you know, jump to serious obstacles to put that business there.
Yeah, okay.
So the business is grandfathered in.
Okay.
But it is, you know, non-conforming in that respect, and it's also, you know, unlike the Ale House, or even Sorrells, it's, you know, it's on a 20,000 square foot lot, if that, I know, I haven't paced it off. You know, where the Ale House is on a couple acres, even Sorrells is on, you know, at least a half acre. So, I mean, I don't know what, and we have, you know, Mr. Bergen has made a very passionate plea.
And I think that we would have a much tougher argument to sit here in front of you if you were to have a letter from the police department to say, this has been a site of numerous calls, there have been issues up there that have been hard to deal with, and we don't want you to give him any more, give him the benefit of the doubt. That's not the case here. There's been a great improvement in the area and the neighborhood, and I think you should take that into consideration along with everything else here, and again, the selectmen, the licensing authority themselves, who, as part of their hearing, seeks the feedback of the police department.
The selectmen granted, they said it's okay with us within these limits, but you have to come to.
Again, the word variance, that one drives me when I see it not applied. And
We know.
a variance may is to be given out under very rare circumstances. I have not seen this proven.
Well, name another neighborhood bar that's been there for 65 years in
Not my
Abington.
job.
No, that's your hardship. That's your uniqueness to this issue.
In the neighborhood,
Yes, name another neighborhood bar that's been there for 65 years that predates. No,
you're saying that's their hardship.
Yeah, it is, because
So they never had it before, and now you're saying it's a hardship because they don't have one now?
having a bar in a residential zone, remember, we didn't have our.
I know it existed before.
We didn't have R20
Right.
when the bar was born.
Right.
We didn't have CBD. We didn't have the ale house. We didn't have Sorrells. All those were built in locations for bars. This bar existed before zoning said you couldn't have it here.
I
Okay?
get that. I get
Well, that's a huge issue.
But, no, but they existed. It's now you're trying to create another thing so they, additional income. I don't see what the hardship is.
We're not making.
Actually, they've been drinking out there for years. We stopped it when we bought the
Yeah,
bar.
then,
I'm being on, I respect what you're saying, Mr. Shepherd, but let's put the facts on the table.
Right.
We started going there when I was 5, when they used to have the Christmas parties. I grew up in that neighborhood. They drank out there and did everything out there, not in the backyard. In the backyard, the side yard, out front. When we bought the bar, the first week, we took the 40 or 50 people standing out front and moving them out from smoking and made the smoking area out back, because it looked ridiculous when you drove by there for the last, 30 years of my life. So.
Right.
I don't want to beat our.
To address that, it's gone on for years. What we chose to do is
Well,
run an establishment by the rules.
Again, I
and
don't
that's why
know
we did
that. I don't know that, but the thing is, a variance, as far as I'm concerned, I haven't seen the hardship. And again, if you were to sell that place, that variance stays. And that bothers me too.
And there's always an appellate issue. Sean, if you really, I really don't think that is a hardship. But if you think that, the poor Polish club has been here all this time and really because it's in a residential area, that is the hardship, then you can always appeal this board's decision. And presumably the court will agree with you. I've never actually seen that, but I'm sure the court will agree with you. It really is, you're asking these people to sanction, an open hours place outside in a residential area. That's what you're doing. It's an R20 area, and you're asking these people to sanction that. And we actually, despite all your letters, we actually have an abutter who did say, and he's speaking for people who are in his apartment, which is pretty gutsy to say that. Look, there's people in my apartment, and it's just unfair, and it has been a nuisance before. So.
Understood, and we have others who spoke for people in their apartments, the owners here.
Absolutely.
And again, Dennis, everything you've said about noise is always an issue with every single bar. Every single bar, especially, even if it's an interior bar, it's when you get out at night, there's always noise issues. That's when the police.
And it's not on Route 18, it's not in something
No.
central to this.
But what I'm saying is, with every single bar that's, of course, licensed by the selectmen, is patrolled by the police. And if there are issues inside the bar, outside the bar, or after hours as they're leaving the bar, the police log that, make complaints, and if it becomes redundant, that's when the selectmen can revoke the license.
You're not asking the board to take that into account, are you?
Yes, Dennis, because you refuse to look at, you bring up an issue and say you're concerned about.
To ask the board.
Dennis, can I please finish the thought? You brought up an issue that you're concerned about noise and time and being a nuisance to neighbors. And I'm trying to answer you saying there is a method to address that. The town does that. In fact, you've probably seen show cause hearings here where bars have had their licenses restricted, revoked, or they can do that.
But Sean, you're not saying to these people that that's a reason why they can't say no, are you? You're not saying that a court will look at the zoning board of appeals board in Abington and say, look, you should have allowed this because the people can always complain to the police. Are you saying that?
No, what I'm saying is, you're saying if we grant this variance, the town has no control of what happens next. That's not true.
Well, I didn't, but you're probably right. Because
No, I'm not.
Roland's already said that this variance goes with the land, right?
That's correct.
Yeah.
But
so-
the license
Thank you for
doesn't.
bringing that up.
The license doesn't, Dennis. You can't you can't
But
be
we're not
put blinders
talking about
on.
the license. This is why we've had this conversation. I don't mean to, that's kind
Andrew,
of,
you
but,
Yeah.
haven't said anything yet, so.
I'm just taking it all in. No,
I'm sorry, I don't mean to come on you.
no, but I mean, I tend to agree with, you know, some of the opinions that have been expressed here. I appreciate everything that you're doing in terms of, you know, cleaning up the establishment and trying to, you know, have it be community-friendly and respecting the rights of your neighbors. And I appreciate, you know, the fact that any issues concerning nuisance or the licensing could be dealt with the Board of Selectmen, but we're here on a very narrow issue, as I see it, is have you established a hardship that the variance should be, that you're entitled to the variance? And I'm not really seeing any evidence of that. The fact that it's existed for a long time and that you now want to seek to sort of expand the scope of the business, I don't feel that that establishes any form of hardship which would allow for a variance.
Well, okay, let me be a little more clear then, I'm sorry. Obviously, a business is in competition with other businesses. Anybody can go buy a Bud Light at any one of 12 different places in the town of Abington. So yes, every business tries to give reasons for someone to come to my place and not the others. And frankly, when the Abington Ale House opened up the first patio, it was extremely successful, and it was packed there on the summer nights or the nice nights. And sure enough, you saw Mia Ragazza come and say, we'd like to do the same, because everyone's going down the other way on Route 18. They're all going to the ale house now in summer, especially in the summer when restaurants lose a lot of their business because people travel. And then you saw the Cellar do it. And we've been seeing all these different businesses trying to keep up with each other. And that's what this gentleman's trying to do here. It is a financial hardship. It is a hardship that where he is located, and he has to control that, and it is limited, and that's why we've tried to demonstrate to you, it is a limited area, it is limited times, you have card key access to this area, which none of the others do. And I think we can address and control those issues that might be unique to this location. But there is definitely a hardship in the fact of the history of this, the location of this, and the relation to other competing bars for the business.
So I guess that's what I'm, not being, you know, familiar with the workings of the Polish Club, it seems to me that it's a quasi-private facility like a VFW would be, where,
Right.
you know, so,
KFC.
yeah, yeah, same sort of thing. So it's not like, you know, you're putting coupons in the mail for
Grabbing
for
people
pizza or
from
something
the
like that.
outside.
So I don't know the business model in terms of expanding the business.
This is a convenience for the membership. This is something that's gone on for years that we
That's-
ended when we bought it
that's
because it
different.
wasn't legal.
That's how I see
So
it.
we've chosen to come back and and do it the right way.
Okay.
Right,
So
because I mean,
that's
when you
what's
talk
going
about
on.
restaurants, you're talking about
Right.
a
It's
different
not-
animal.
Right, it's not, on the one hand, you know, anybody can go into a restaurant and behave however they want, and, you know, they either get thrown out right away or they leave in an hour, and that's it. You have members, you know, who theoretically have basically the same people, same whatever group of people who frequent your club, you know, on a regular basis. It probably works in your favor, but at the same time, you're not necessarily growing your business like, you know, the Ale House or something like that, or Sorrel's, where it's the new restaurant in town and everyone wants to go there, sort of thing. So I think it works in both ways, and I think, Roger, you addressed it best, that what you're seeking the variance and relief for is really for a matter of convenience for your clientele.
Yeah, I'm being honest, I don't expect that I'm gonna have 20 people showing up the first night we could, I don't expect we're gonna have any more than what we have.
I mean, what is the number of
We
members?
probably have a core of, I'm being honest, on regulars of probably about 80 to 100 people.
Okay.
We do a lot of darts. This weekend, we have an outdoor approval for outdoor drinking this weekend by the selectmen for one day, because we're hosting a televised dart tournament, so, on Saturday. So,
So this is not gonna be open up to anyone but the members and their
Exactly, but
guests.
this is, we're a private
If you're
club.
having a function, people ain't gonna wander down there and,
No. The only time the door's open between downstairs and upstairs is when I'm either lugging ice down or, bringing something up or down. They don't fluctuate through, and the real reason is there's a price point downstairs and there's a price point upstairs in the function hall, and
so
it's
we're
different.
talking your membership of people that be using this. People that you can throw out.
It's a lot easier having a private club. I'll be honest, when we bought the place, we thought of coming and trying to make it a public place, so we decided we'd keep it private because you can manage it a lot easier.
Can we ask the building inspector, is there a difference in the bylaws between a private club and an eating place?
Yes, but as to what you can have it where, but that currently exists. I think the only thing that applies here is a use variance and the four-prong test, and that's it.
This is a tough one, because, you have it's a small area. You say that you only have a small amount of members. My biggest issue, again, is when I walked in there and saw that fence in the backyard, I'm saying, it just doesn't seem like it would stop any loud noises or anything like that,
You really think a fence that's a foot or two bigger is gonna make any difference?
This thing is unbelievable. This thing's like a...
The other fence already is it's raised on those railroad
Probably
ties,
8
the one
feet.
you're looking at,
I
right?
mean, it's very high.
Yeah.
Well, you wouldn't even see most of the building behind you.
All right, someone wanna make a motion, or?
We have no problem with that as a condition to wrap the whole yard in that fence.
Anybody?
Would you?
That's the joy of being the chairman, I don't have to make it.
Andrew?
If it's my motion, it's gonna be a motion to deny the variance to allow an open-air consumption of food and drinks within the fenced-in rear yard at 55 Whale Street under Abington zoning bylaws, section 175, 21E3. The property is located in Assessor's Map 53, Lot 205, in the R20 zone.
The motion, do we have a second? I'll second that. All in favor?
Aye.
Thanks for your time,
Thanks for your
gentlemen.
time.
Thank you.
Good exercise tonight.
Boy, oh boy.
That's a tough one, Roger. I believe it was unanimous, correct? You voted in favor of that.
Oh, that's fine, thank you.
Gentlemen.
All
Good
right,
night.
good evening.
Oh, we have additional items, right?
Yes.
All right, do we want to take
Yeah,
a
can we take a break, please?
break?
I'm gonna go anyway. What's your allergy? What's your allergy? What is the cornhole?
That became the nice thing, is that
Cornhole.
I don't have to make the motion. I don't even sure I'm allowed to.
No, but I heard him say it.
Sticking with
You
that.
want to look.
Andrew?
These, up tonight, or can we table these, or?
Well, we'll discuss
Yeah,
it briefly.
okay.
No, that's the second one, there was two that came in. And I believe this is it here. What's your date on yours? March 20th, and this is
I'm
April
sure I have
13th,
it.
right here.
Yeah.
I'll be right back. The old one is probably behind it.
No, that's okay. It's all right. No, you're supposed to do that.
I don't know, I like a quick meeting. No. I know, oh. I know, that's, I don't know, yeah, what was the right?
He's never been twice in a day. He's probably giving everybody the strength.
I'm going to have to read because the variance, I can't believe it.
We get him Chris, we go right.
Absolutely. I'll buy two. Let's go down the board.
So, actually, one of the things in front of us, the building inspector didn't talk about it, but they, it's delete, dwelling instead of the definition.
Okay.
Definition of dwelling as well.
You know what?
And actually,
One citizen.
Oh, I know. I've been doing it for a decade. And
Hence.
we're still live.
Yes.
Yep.
Should we still be live with this?
This is, let me
Yeah.
check.
I do,
This is
yeah.
public discussion. In this case, we're giving opinion regarding.
Yes, because we're on the agenda.
Oh, okay.
It's on the
I
agenda.
don't believe I have it.
Shall I get poor Marshall?
He doesn't have to be a part of this.
Well, one of his thing is, it's his
Right.
articles, isn't it?
Well, one question I had is when, I read these pieces a while ago, I didn't render an opinion besides a quick opinion back to Marshall. I didn't CC you all, and I apologize for that. When is this going before, whatever it is, select?
Here's a comment I'm gonna make, is I think our last meeting was when, March 9th, was it, Nancy? Remember, I should have that
About
right.
right.
My point is, they had the meeting, and this information was given to us after. So, why weren't we informed before? My point is, why are we discussing after the fact? And and this sort of happened last year and it happened the year before, where stuff comes in front of us after the fact. And I totally don't feel we should even be voting on
Discussing?
any of this year, it's for next year. And the reason I'm gonna say that, I'm also on the sign committee review. We've had many meetings where people don't show up, they have, and it's too late for this year. So we're gonna go for next year. This still has to go in front of the selectmen, still has to go in front of council. And the meeting is what, May for, town meeting? 22nd of May. I don't know if we would be able to discuss this and throw our input. I think I would recommend that we table this and say that we have no, it's too late and that we're against it as a board at this time. Or table it at this time, or something to that.
Is that a motion or something?
No, but it's,
Can I speak, Nancy, do you know
Yeah,
when
is
it's going
that-
before the selectmen?
sorry.
Sorry.
Is Marshall coming back, or
Yeah.
is he done?
Poor Marshall, but, just, I was the person who asked for this article. Do we know when the warrant's going before the selectmen? It's, no. But the poor selectmen are waiting for the warrant to come in. Actually, one of the articles has actually been changed, I think, recently, and Nancy managed to hunt down the correct wording. But this is the only public open meeting, even though there's no weekend. This is the only open meeting really on some of the stuff like the zoning and planning, other than the selectmen, who really just received the whole warrant. The planning board did have an open meeting on it. Mr. Riley and I were there, but I can tell you, Mr. Riley I'm sure would say too, that there was absolutely no discussion. There was great discussion on, there's actually 3 or 4 articles, and so there was great discussion on all of them, except for the one to do with zoning, which was the one I went to hear about, where there was absolutely no discussion. But I think at the very least we should know what's being brought on. And now that the building inspector's here, he can tell us what the articles are. But there are But I don't agree with tabling this. I think that we should actually at least know what's going before the town people. And particularly one of them affects how we are.
But what I'm saying is, they've already discussed it,
Who, the selectmen?
planning board. So the planning
Oh,
board gives their opinion,
Yeah.
it goes to selectmen, this is how we approve it. And usually it goes from us first, then to the planning board. And the planning board says, because 1 year, 2 years ago is where I publicly got up in front of the town hall and said, we never discussed it. Not one iota, they got up and said the planning board approved
I
it.
think you're right, but you know what, it's 9:30 in the evening, and I think we should actually quickly discuss the articles that are there, so we have
Okay.
some kind of working knowledge of it. We don't have to make a decision on it, and one of them is actually from the planning board, it's not from zoning.
I tend to agree with Mr. Bergen in this case where, you know, does the town always do things right or in the right order or no, but I don't want to just kick the can. I mean, I know there's a third one, but I think some of these are relatively simple. Hopefully doesn't, you know, we might come to agreement on in relatively short time. I have, do I not have that one? I have 2 pages. I apologize. I had some of these.
Ones I have, or?
So what do we have? We have the warrants, we have, so these are from actually, let's start with the proposed zoning bylaw changes, since that's kind of in our thing, and then I think there's one other one that whether we conclude the discussion on, or at least have a brief discussion on. The one I have in front of me currently is, were these submitted by you, Marshall, to see if the town will vote to amend the town of Abington zoning bylaw Article 2 definitions by
Yes.
making the changes to the definition of apartment as shown below. Apartment is amended by deleting the current definition of building exclusively for residential use with 3 or more dwelling units for rent. An apartment is amended by replacing the current definition, 1 or more rooms forming a habitable unit containing complete and independent living facilities.
And then I submitted that to council.
Yeah.
And council came back and said, yes, she pretty much agreed, but then said, had come back on April 13th, amend that definition and replace it by C definition dwelling unit.
So you're gonna change that?
And that's what is currently on the table, and I agree with it.
Yes.
The old definition is old, and it was written a long time ago, and it doesn't really apply. It's exclusively for residential with use with 3 or more dwelling units. That's not where we want apartment. I forget what I ran into, but it was conflicting, and that's when I realized I believed it should be changed, and council agreed, and then said, if you look at dwelling unit, apartment should be as what is the definition of dwelling unit, and after going through it, I agree.
If we use the front of our book and go to definitions, dwelling unit.
175, 4.
Dwelling unit, 1 or more living or sleeping rooms arranged for the use of 1 or more individuals living as a single housekeeping unit with permanent provisions for cooking, living, sanitary, eating, and sleeping facilities.
Yep.
So those will just be the same?
So we're in essence simplifying it by saying.
Yes.
Yep.
When we say the word apartment, if you want to know exactly what we mean, look at dwelling unit in the definitions.
Exactly.
Right.
And council suggested that.
I like.
Okay.
The second one would be see if the town will vote to amend the Town of Abington zoning bylaw, Article 5, use regulation, 175-21, table use regulations under principal use, Section E, retail business, Under service establishments, under section 12, tattoo parlor or body piercing business by making the following changes as shown. Amend by deleting the current N in zoning district highway commercial and by replacing it to special permit, SP, in the zoning district highway commercial.
The reason I put this in without discussing it is we went through that tattoo parlor at the left end of the Pazing, that chicken Pazing Mall.
Yep.
And there was an N, and there was either a variance or nothing at all. And there was concern that you're allowing that left-end unit there to have a tattoo parlor potentially forever. And it eliminates the option for the board to look at whether or not for whatever reason, that business in that area didn't work out well, then after those people left, the option would be for you to not give a special permit to another unit if that didn't work well there. And if it does, well, then they would be allowed. But it's not forever. So it leaves it in control. Tattoo
Excellent.
parlors were, many moons ago, were not even allowed in Massachusetts. And then, and we only have one in the industrial district now where it's allowed, I believe. And they're in a more trafficked area. Now I think they're, based on your opinions of the area that's suggested in HC, they're more appropriate, but on a case-by-case basis. And if it works and it appears that it's appropriate, fine. You can continue to approve as a new owner would come on. And if not, and this, whatever it appears that it's not working out, you can elect not to issue the special permit. Leaves you in control of what's going on in an area. But rather than to eliminate having that business anywhere by just having a no and requiring a variance. I did speak with the new potential new owner of the tattoo parlor at the left end of the Pazing Mall and asked him, with regards to the hardship, et cetera, if you were to have appealed, and they would, he said, well, you've got 3 others, and in town, we've got one down that was approved where the brewery is now on Washington Street. There's one on North Ave, kind of across the street from Martin's, and there's another one further down in the large mall, 1501.
Yeah.
I can't remember. There's
Where a moto is in that Brazilian grocery.
the Brazilian market there, I can't think of the name of it, but yes, and there is one down there, so, well, where those have been allowed, now I don't recall off the top of my head outside of the one that was at where the old brewery was, where they've been allowed.
Wasn't there that
If you
one?
allow it here, and why are you not allowing it there would be the, the case history of, well, look what's been done in the past and what's different.
Right.
And I thought this, after I spoke with him, and then I said, yeah, I think maybe special permit would be the best way to go. So you guys could look at it, each one in an individual case without precluding it, and if it is deemed to be inappropriate, it doesn't have to be allowed again.
Okay.
Excellent.
My question to you under N no, as far as I've always been told, N meant no under any circumstance.
Without a hardship variance, you'd have to,
But even with a variance, it means no, it's not wanted. The town did a reason.
The town voted, when they voted in the
Exactly.
bylaws, this was the wishes of the townspeople, and only in, certain conditions are variances to be allowed. But a special
It rarely
permit is less restrictive and allows you more leeway to do that, and that's why I suggested it. I apologize for not putting it in front of you in a more timely fashion, but apparently time was of the essence. I have now come to realize that my office will bring everything to this board by Christmas. And by the first of the year, I will seek to get on the, next year, to get on the first meeting of the year for us to be discussing all of this. So we will make sure that everything you want to have submitted to the selectmen who submit to planning, and then it comes back. That should be, that should be a timetable.
Right.
That's what's going to happen. That's what my office will do. Everything I have, as I run into things, I put it in a file to be addressed when we come to address these, and it doesn't seem to get done in a timely fashion, so that's the new criteria I have in my office with regards to how these are going to be handled, to make sure we have everything done in a timely fashion, and I'm on the meeting to be heard by all you people, the first meeting in January.
I like that. And cycling it back around to, you know, this proposal, you know, I like it. I think, you know, and I think part of the reason why I voted the way I did a couple months ago was, I think the mindset around tattoos has evolved.
It has.
From 20 years ago when they were first made legal, and, you know, currently to now. I mean, I still don't particularly like them, but, you know, I try to put aside my prejudice and make a decision for, you know, for the residents and for the businesses. You know, in the same way that, you know, the town is struggling to come up with plans for, you know, dispensaries, you know, this is an idea where...
Well, it's all new. Solar,
right,
marijuana.
solar, all this. You know, where 20 years from now...
It's all got to be dealt with.
When I'm really old and still on the board, because Nancy won't ever let me quit.
Don't forget to remind me.
Yeah.
When I'm up.
You know, we may be making like dispensaries, just like special permit things, you know, and for as long as you're right, not abutting a school, you're good to go.
Yeah.
You know, we don't know how that, or it'll be back to being illegal, you know, you never know.
Yep.
Although that's one of the articles they want to talk about, right, that's coming up tonight, is marijuana.
Right.
But I can see why you voted for because now having a tattoo is an acceptable thing, and you know,
Except for my kids.
Yes, and mine too. Yes. We both have daughters that are same age and friends, so we're not too keen on this. But we have, under the rules, we have, and of course I'm very strict on the rules, so we had a big issue tonight about variances and whether we should give them. But here is, you know, we say that they have to go into an industrial area, and maybe that's not what the town people think, and certainly we're representing.
I think they did at the time. They knew what they were doing. It was like a porn shop.
Right, yeah, you want to separate yourself from that.
But we as a board still have to work with what we have existing now. We're like judges. We can't
Right.
anticipate what we want or like what we want. We're gonna make decisions on what we have.
And this is a good common sense approach that you brought here. This is.
Ask people to tell us whether they agree or not.
I agree, but I kinda like to see them back further, like the one down on, down by the Brazilian place.
Yeah, 1500 Bedford, 1501, whatever it is.
You're not making it stand out.
The special permit allows for that. Again, I apologize, it was in a timely manner, and I wanted to get it in, and you guys can always withdraw it, have it denied, you know.
I would like to see that stand, because again, you know, I take variances seriously. At the same time, I think we work at the discretion of the selectmen. And, you know, I've never particularly personally taken any heat from the selectmen, you know, from my votes. And I have personally made votes that I have regretted. You know, in the 10 years, there's probably 3 dwellings I drive by, or businesses I drive by, and I go, you know what, that wasn't what I expected to go up. And you know, and it's a reminder, you know, because it's going to happen to every one of you at some point where you're going to vote for something, and when it goes in, you know, it's going to be bigger in scale, or closer to this, or closer to that, or nowhere near like the renderings that you saw. and you gotta live with it. You drive by it for as long as you're a resident and go, I got snookered. You know, oh, I'm just doing this and I promise, and then they give them okay and they sell it and something totally different goes up. Happens. So,
So I think it is a responsibility for us to, excuse me, a responsibility for us to bring stuff up like this that we find too. You know, the things that we find that may be common sense, like 20 years ago, that's a big issue. And, you know, bring it into light a little bit. I think it's very good.
I would like to see these two stand and go before the selectmen myself. Is there
Do we,
any objection to that?
Do you want us to vote to recommend this?
Yeah, I suppose we may as well be Mr. Formal about it.
Just before we do, the planning board did discuss these,
Mhm.
and they didn't make a decision on the dwelling one, only because they were trying to make their own definition and they gave up on that. They didn't make a decision on that.
Regarding apartment, you mean?
That's right, apartment,
Right.
yeah. But on the zoning, they thought that was a very good idea.
Okay.
You know, so I make a motion
And that,
to-
excuse me to interrupt, that's
Yeah.
why when it came back, I sent it back to council.
Yeah.
And council came back with C dwelling unit.
Yeah.
That's why that we're here with this now.
I make a motion to approve and recommend to the selectmen and annual town meeting the proposed zoning bylaw changes by the zoning enforcement officer.
Second it?
This is as a whole board.
Right, yeah.
Yes. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Just in case.
Well, I guess with the notation that what goes before them isn't the definition of apartment as written here, but as you dictated to us. That
Yeah.
definition of apartment is the same as the definition of dwelling
Right.
in, you know, in our.
Dwelling unit,
Article 2, dwelling unit in Article 2.
because we have two, we have dwelling and we have dwelling unit.
Right. In Article 2 of, you know, Chapter 175, is definitions. I don't have the other ones, but Dennis,
So I have, well, let me see. The next one is the
Marijuana.
Marijuana?
temporary moratoria on the sale and distribution of recreational marijuana. Who's doing that? By the planning board. An article to see if the town will vote to amend the binding laws by adding new section.
Can I ask a question?
I think they recommended to table it. Or what was their
They
recommendation?
say by vote of right, they want to, the law provides this effective December 15, 2016 to sell marijuana for recreational uses. And the Cannabis Advisory Board is required to issue regulations regarding implementation by September 15, 2017. And they want to, what do they want it to?
Could I ask a question? Is it for them to do this? Is this the
That's
planning
their
board?
opinion.
Well,
Oh, yeah.
actually, I think they're doing,
They usually handle stuff like
Okay,
that.
I just was wondering.
Absolutely, they handle that.
I think it's the cross the state.
And that's, if you think about it,
Right.
planning,
Okay, I just was wondering if that's.
yeah.
I think this is across the state, and they're asking for a moratorium.
The state, to agree with you, 100%, they haven't made a decision yet, and and most towns are delaying it until they get something from the state. The state, and you just said it's
So
September.
planning is asking for a moratorium to be effect through June 30th, 2018. So, and this seems to reflect something that's across the state. I bet you there's always some issue that obsesses the town meeting. I bet you this will be it. You know, because there are many issues either way, but they're asking for the zoning law to say that there's going to be a moratorium on sale and distribution of recreational marijuana.
right.
So we can either agree or we can disagree or we can not comment.
You know, I
would agree
agree
with that.
because this is a lot of work where, you know, we have to, you know, something I've been reading about, and Nancy, was it you or Marshall sent me something on Bridgewater? Was it Bridgewater's? They had some wording, what they were thinking of doing regarding the marijuana laws, and basically they took like the two little corners of, you know, so we're abutting here and we're abutting there, and they rezoned it.
Yeah, right, I
And they
heard
said,
something about that.
and they said, all right, those is okey dokey, this is no way. And in the town, I mean, all towns are gonna have to look at those sorts of things and say, do we need to do this? Now, if we do that, that becomes before the selectmen, because now you're rezoning, kinda like what Cape Cod Lumber did, when we on the board said, you're asking way too much for our pay grade. You know, and at the same time, there are all sorts of other things where we say, well, if it is highway commercial, if it is this, do we have things like, well, we want it, you can't be within so many feet of a school, you can't be within so many feet of a convenience store where children may frequent. You know, those sorts of things all need to be discussed.
Yeah, and I think, actually, Bill, that this is probably above our pay grade. And it really is the planning
Right.
board. This is a good example of how the planning board decides
Right.
what they want to do and go before the people. So that's why I'm not too sure if we really have to comment on this.
I would agree.
Well, I would think our comment would be that we would,
Defer.
I personally agree with the moratoria,
Yeah.
because my understanding, the way the state law is written, is towns are not allowed to exclude it. And I forget if I'm 100%, but a
So
town
basically
cannot
you're saying
vote to say,
we're
not
not
my
doing it."
town, this is Wellesley, you
Yeah.
can't have one here.
But you can say that we're gonna hold off on
Yeah,
that.
we're just
They-
saying.
The
we're
state
not-
hasn't even enacted it yet.
Yeah, there's a lot of,
Well,
So I would think you'd want to defer to the planning board's decision and
Right.
concur with them. That'd be my,
I mean, you should know there's a lot of money involved here. I think Holbrook and Brockton are getting in on this. Norwell is a good
Brockton is
example of
starting
a
to
town.
set, they got somebody who can drive it to you. That I
Yeah,
do.
Norwell is doing a lot of one, and it's a big issue.
well, that
But
said
thankfully
this,
it's not for us.
that said this, they're saying that the current tax rate is nowhere near high enough to support, you know, the
The
enforcement
enforcement,
and,
too,
or,
no.
I mean, but we knew that, like, Colorado's tax rate's like 70%, and they said, oh, no, we're gonna do 3%. Oh, we're making money at 3%, that's no way to run a business.
Grab it.
All right, so I think, anyone wanna make a motion to accept the article, to agree with the planning board? Regarding-
Absolutely, 175-24 .2.4, temporary moratorium. We defer to the planning board and go by their decision to wait through June 30th to 18.
Do we have a second?
Second?
In favor?
Aye.
No, I don't have it, but there's one great article about New England town. Is that it? Historical New England character. So this is from Rick Collins, who's on the planning board. And he wanted to, is this the one, Nancy, do you know that, it's with Mr.
One, yeah.
Riley's editions? Because they're going to use the one with Mr. Riley's editions.
This is the latest one that Liz gave me.
Oh, you have the latest one from Liz. So that's probably, it probably includes Mr. Riley's edition. So
Oh, I
they,
don't
Rick was, Mr. Collins was saying that he wanted to do, one of the issues we have to deal with in zoning is, amongst all the factors, we have to talk about whether a building is within keeping of the historical New England character of Abington. And I think Mr. Riley's edition actually defines what it is, because to be honest,
It's in here too.
is it really? Do we actually have something that says
I
historical
believe there is.
New England?
Not the word
bylaws?
New England, but the historical.
Oh, historical, but this
Yeah.
is historical New England.
I don't think
Yeah.
I think that's in state now, but I think it's one of these.
And it says the typical historical New England for Abington is colonial, Cape, Georgian, Federal, Greek Revival, or Victorian styles. So I guess if you don't have any of those, you're not really a typical house. But I think, I don't know, I think this is a very difficult thing, but, I mean, interesting, but he did say that he doesn't want it to be like Hingham and places like that. But, you know, where it's required.
Right, you can't have colored Christmas lights.
Yeah, I think that's more to do with, I'm actually on the
Just
historical
saying.
commission, and that's really to do with the historical district.
Isn't that
and
a
what
law?
people decide, the historical district. So it's not quite the same thing as this. But I do know he's interested in it, and it would be a factor we'd have to take into account. So, you know, and any of the houses that come before us, we'd have to think, is
Right.
it part of the Abington historical New England character? which is very hard. Can you define what that is, Mr. Building Inspector?
No, thank you.
It's under 1908
Well,
in the state.
well, actually, Mr. Riley did do it. Did he do a definition for us?
Pardon?
Did Mr. Riley write a definition in the, because I think I have the old one. Do you have a definition for what it is? What is a historical unit?
No, I mean, this is what Liz gave me, I don't know.
Well, there might be, I'm sorry, there might be a definition.
I mean, I,
Well, this has,
what I have.
Oh, you have
I
it.
made
Do you-
copies for everybody.
I don't
at the
know.
top, was that,
Is that the one, the Colonial Cape Georgian?
Yeah, I'm looking at it right now.
yeah,
Yeah.
I don't know, is there
So-
anything else aside from that?
Look at this about solar panels.
Yeah.
Well,
So,
it says, well, not discouraged.
All right,
They are encouraged to be.
not too sure if my
In the
house
back.
actually covers that.
away from the street. Wow. You see that a lot today.
I have one on my
So-
front and one on my backyard.
Hmm. I mean, solar panels all over the roof,
That's it.
I think
front,
it's-
back, side.
See, it's right here, investigate the building and structures, areas of historical, archaeological significance within the community prepares a report, stuff like that.
Well, that's really to do with, you know, if a building, like, one of the buildings we had tonight actually is, that yellow building beside the golf course, actually is a historical building.
Yes,
And we
it is.
have listed it in the Abington Historical Commission. But that's not what he's talking about here. He's talking about that every time we look at a building, one, you know, a distinct structure, it has to conform with this. So,
Right.
So any new buildings?
Well, you know, we've historically,
should conform with
What was the decision of the board?
Well, I think they agreed, I mean, it's the planning board, so, I mean, this is something the planning board will come up with, right? And they actually agreed with this idea without any, I think they had changes that Mr. Riley had done, and so presumably the thing I'm looking at now is with all those changes, and it's going before the town. I mean, does that cause a problem in reviewing buildings?
I haven't investigated it, to be perfectly honest with you. I don't have, I mean, I will. I don't have, outside of the ones that I have proposed, I don't have input with regards to this. It's between town members, boards, and townspeople. Townspeople have to get a certain amount of signatures to propose something to the selectmen to be proposed to planning. You people, and I am allowed to propose something as I have just done without getting signatures, but I haven't looked at these, to be honest with you,
Beyond your pay grade?
to give input.
The only thing I'd say is that people can have a historic district. You can vote in a historic district, and a historic district, believe it or not, can be one building. Somerville has something like 170 historic districts, which are literally just one building, because there are requirements. If you have a historic district, then there's an easement.
Very
from
tough
the
town zoning too.
Right, there's a Massachusetts Historic Commission easement on the property, and there's, you know, they also have to touch base with the commission when they're doing construction. So, you know, but I think in Abington, they actually voted down historic district in Abington before. But, you know, that's an alternative that already exists, so you don't need this.
Exactly, and looking at state law too, that basically says it right in there, the appropriateness of the building is what he's trying to say. And that's what it addresses right here. The historic and architectural value and significance of site, building or structure, agreement, texture, material, and all that stuff. We don't get into that, that would be more you.
Well, we would have to get into it if that's what it is.
Well, yeah, if it's going to be put in here in a definition in the bylaws.
So we have to request this type
You're all
of
about it.
building.
I mean, I have to do the evaluation, but you guys will be making the decisions.
I mean, in
Go ahead.
today's, you know, future homes can be different than this. I mean, they can be different than what you're asking for here. I mean, different designs, I mean.
It's designed
Because
for
of energy
downtown.
saving, there are different types of houses out there that will not comply. So,
But I think the state incorporates that.
So this has got nothing to do with.
This is
The
the
state
town.
supersedes state,
This has got nothing to do with the state historic thing. This is just a
really-
law that, it's a bylaw that he wants to add into the zoning bylaw. It's got nothing to do with the historic commissioner.
I mean, if you
No, no,
look,
I'm not saying
if
that.
you look over at the library, that's totally different. I mean, these buildings, you know, the future designs sometimes don't comply to this. It's not gonna happen.
What I was just trying to say was that the state supersedes town law. That's all I was trying to say.
So they could fight us on that, in other words?
Absolutely.
If somebody wants to come in here with a high-tech, brand-new type of house that does not comply,
And the
does not.
state encourages it, they throw it in there.
It's
One
true,
is-
because now you get
one is
solar.
the solar now.
Yeah, but, you
But
know,
on small use, not, the big one, they've already got their applications in. They got like 17 of them, big ones, and frankly, I think that probably will hit their number again already.
we've rejected, you know, like applications for garages to go up, like, I remember one specifically in the area, like, if you, you know, where Dairy Queen is, and you head down, you know, that way towards, you know, like the Rotary and all that, you have a lot of nice big houses on that road, and yet a guy wanted to throw up a steel building garage.
All right.
And it was, you know, and he was doing it because you could probably get that for, you know, $3 or $4 grand versus, you know, doing, you know, a stick garage.
Visually, it looks.
It
Character of the neighborhood.
Yeah, it was gonna look like crap.
Exactly, and that's the reason right there.
And it got turned down, you know, back when the board seemed to be approving everything.
Well,
That didn't go through.
this is adding a definition. This isn't saying that's all you can build, is it?
No,
It's just one fact.
that's all they're trying to do is they throw in some, historical part of it.
But I think, so therefore, I think the purpose of adding a definition is to guide their hand. So as they're looking to do something, they go, well, in that case, I was, you know, gonna do, you know, glass and concrete, but instead I'm gonna come in with, you know, shingles and dental work.
True.
In a historical area, or
Yeah,
where?
see, that's the weird thing,
Yeah,
because
I
there
mean,
aren't, I
This
mean,
is
there are
just a
certain
definition. It
neighborhoods.
doesn't say it has to be, we don't have a historic.
I mean, as
District.
Mr. Riley showed us today, that
There isn't
on
one,
Route
is there not?
18 is all
What-
different types
What
of.
effect does this have?
Well, it means
Structure's
every house
different.
that comes
In that
before.
case, he was
Well,
going
for
like from the church.
specific
to
types,
the
right?
gas
For
or
multi-unit
that type of
dwellings
like,
and
once you
for-
pass me, regas,
What's
it's a different type of
Okay.
Multi-unit.
pictures.
We would have to take it into
Yeah.
consideration and for.
I don't know if we're gonna come to
Oh, no,
an
33.
agreement on that one tonight
Yeah.
before I fall
No.
asleep.
I'd have to go through
You
this.
ain't
I
kidding.
haven't, I didn't propose it, and I'd,
Right.
May I change directions just briefly? I forget. Nancy, when is the,
27th.
7th? I get to drag you all back in here.
Here?
Well, here, somewhere around here. Not you, you're exempt.
Before.
Lucky dog.
Only because I like you, Max.
Oh,
Actually, you
did,
should be here.
did we vote on this or not?
Oh, are we
You,
gonna,
you were gonna say something,
we're
right?
gonna vote to make a motion to,
Table it, or?
Table it?
table this?
Yeah.
Yeah, we can, I mean, you know, we can meet on the night of the town meeting too.
That'd be good.
Yes, you can.
You can.
You could actually get up there. Yeah, you can, yeah.
No, but I mean, I used to be on some of the finance committee and all that stuff, and I think your rules committee, all they'd have meetings before they go into the actual.
Huddle.
We just, I would just say we have no
opinion?
no opinion because we didn't have the time to.
Well, I think we certainly have to look at the article that talks about us changing, they discriminate between the homeowner and the commercial contractor.
Right.
And the zoning board is going to continue to be in charge of the homeowner for the floodplain, flooding. but
Right,
not
and that one,
for
that one's
commercial.
a little concerning,
That would have been the issue today.
right.
And that's why it was so fascinating. So, and the planning board did not explain why they were doing that, except that there's a kind of a.
They, I don't know. The planning board, I think, feels that in site plan review, which is something would be typically more than a one or two family, that they're gonna be doing the site plan review anyway, so they one-stop shopping. But in a one and two family, they're likely not going to be doing a site plan review, which is, and they want the issue addressed. And they want you to address it there.
I don't think
But to have them address it in both cases, they have to, if it's more than a one and two family, they have to come to you, and they still have to go to planning. May be seen as a disservice to the builder or the applicant, where they'd only have to go to planning. There would be no need for them to come
You know,
here if it was less than 12 units. 12 units, they gotta come here, I think.
I guess my disagreement, I
I'm
totally
thinking that's why they did it.
I
I don't know.
totally understand what you're
That's a
saying, but
guess.
my disagreement is, it seems when they come before us, the fact that they're in the floodland and wetland protection district is almost like the least of our worries. You know, it's very rare that they come before us only because, you
Of
know,
that.
they're in the
That's a good
the
point.
Of that.
FPW.
There's additional reasons
You
there.
know, it's because they're, you know, they don't have the frontage, or they're, you know, they're trying to get, you know, maximum buildings, or it's parking, you know, it's, well, if we make the spots 9 feet wide, then we can get the required parking in, which is code for we really don't have the space. So now we gotta make and we're in the floodland, wetland, you know, it's rare. This past hearing was the closest we've come in memory to saying yay or nay, just based on the fact that the land flooded. You know, because if it floods regularly, you know, no sane builder's gonna wanna build on it anyways. You know, existing condition or not. I mean, am I off base there, Marshall?
No, I think that is somewhat true. I also think that what they have proposed may go along with, in terms of lot coverage, if you look at the zoning bylaws, maximum lot coverage, you'll see notes number 11, and it will say that for one and two families, they come to you.
Right. Once it's commercial.
For
it's
more
there.
than, no, for more than, it says percentage lot as stated percentages may be exceeded by special permit from the zoning board for single or two-family, and from the planning board for all others.
Right.
So, and it appears that they're saying the same thing with regards to relief regarding Wetlands Protection Overlay District in that 1976 map, which is very broadly stroke painted, but it kind of, it follows that. It follows along with that. One and two family, you guys with lot coverage, and they're trying to make it, it looks like, but nobody's, you know, nobody needs to consult with me, but that's, it appears to be the same. I don't care. I don't care.
So many of the cases are in the wetlands. So
In the Wetland Protection Overlay District, I mean, yeah, I mean, they paint that 1976 map that's still called for with a very broad brush.
as Bill brought it up, I agree that we do not get strictly wetlands, very rare. So again, then if that is the case, I would suggest they go before us on these meetings, then us afterwards. Therefore, we would have their information that we would want ourselves. Because how do you make an intelligible decision without the info?
I mean, none of us are engineers. You know, we all know water flows downhill, and so we use logic regarding that, you know. But I'm never, you know, someone else wants to take something off my plate. I'm all right with that. You know, I really am. I'm not 100% on that, you know, and I think, okay, so if we don't have that, right, they're still gonna come to us for parking.
Right.
Yeah.
We don't want them to take everything off our plate, though, either.
Because most of, yeah, well, no, really? But, you know, seriously, how many times when we look at, you know, almost anything, and, you know, John Cotter's here, you know, and he's done all his engineering, or another engineer's here, and they've done all their engineering for the water. You know, we look at it, and we're trusting that these gentlemen are licensed professionals. And you know what, most of the time it works. You know, there's an area near me where it doesn't quite work the way they said it did. It's not a big deal, and there really isn't any recourse, because at one point the engineer went, you know, I think I spoke to you about that at one point. The engineer went, nope, we built it right, it's working right.
He signed off on it
So then the
too?
neighbors, it's incumbent on the neighbors to spend thousands and thousands of dollars to refute that.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's why this meeting, you know, tonight, we were really late here, but it was so difficult, because we actually had to put a line in the sand on certain.
Yes, not easy, but you gotta go with the right decision.
So I'm not,
That really is the issue.
I'm not objecting to pass that on to the planning board, you know, because we're not generally making a yay or nay around the water. I'm not even sure the hearing that was denied tonight was around the water.
It was on the variance, wasn't it?
Right.
And the special.
Design.
permit
You know,
down through.
the hurdle for a special permit is here, and the hurdle for a variance is here.
Much higher standard.
So I really don't mind, one way or the
No,
other. I don't think it makes my hearing any longer, and I don't think there's an advantage or disadvantage to giving it up, so I might just vote to keeping it as is. Let them talk to both of us, because we may raise questions that planning doesn't.
I second that.
Are we able to put this off for another time?
Yeah, if you want to table this particular one, because we may not have talked through it.
It's getting late, and,
I think,
10 o'clock, it's kind of late.
yeah, it's getting late, and
Would we like to make
we're getting a little punchy.
a motion to, no punching?
No,
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 but here's
we're getting a
your
little
problem,
punchy.
here's your problem.
I think you need
You're into
to,
May, it's too
that?
late.
I think you need to look at what
Battery
your timetable is with regards to when you have to have this in to be reviewed, or if it's too late, whether you need to hustle to get this done, because it has to be posted, and I don't know, I'm gonna guess a couple of weeks
Exactly.
before the meeting.
Right.
Or we could go to the meeting and get up there and say that the zoning board does not agree.
Always a treat.
I mean, right?
Yeah,
I
I've
mean,
done that 2 years ago.
right, I know, I was there
Your
that
turn.
first time, yes. My turn, okay.
I would advise that you look at it, discuss it, and do it in a timely fashion. Get it on so everyone can look at it, so you're not pulling a rabbit out of the hat at the meeting. That it's posted for 2 weeks for everyone to look at, to be voted on beforehand, rather than try and stand up in the middle of a meeting where they've got, trying to hustle through a pile of different stuff.
Right.
And I'm gonna guess that it has to be posted 2 weeks before the meeting, which is, I don't even remember the date off the top of my head. Do you? Town meeting? The meeting? Town meeting? Yeah. So, you know, it's gotta be May
I
22nd.
mean, is there really anything in there that really jumps on us, that really makes
If
us
you wanna
cringe?
do what you wanna
I
do,
think
I
the
think we
things-
should review it and then make your recommendations before 2 weeks at least, or double check, and have it 2 weeks before then, so it can be posted appropriately, is my opinion.
So I would think,
But it's not for me to say or do.
I think we're too late, so our best decision is.
right,
Could we post an agenda for the meeting coming up on the 27th and just meet with town council in executive session?
well, if we meet in executive session, we don't need to post an agenda, because
Well, just have the public
private.
portion be our discussion concerning this and then go to executive session for
I-
the decision-making.
I have a
process.
question on that one, because now you're denying the rights of the people.
Well, that's why he said, can we post, can we advertise
For the front portion, our discussion
Right.
of,
Or the back portion, something
Yeah.
like that, yeah.
unless we just take it up now, I
I
mean.
think on, I would say one, if we, just because planning wants to take that away doesn't mean the selectmen will do it one way or another.
The selectmen are probably looking for some input from us.
Yes,
That's what I
and
think. So-
if you're not sure about it, then, and you're exhausted,
Well, let's,
wait, call council, and if council
Right.
says you've got to post for another meeting, post for another meeting, and if the council says you don't have to, you can have a
Let's-
meeting, good.
let's do this, let's make a motion to table the one regarding the planning board. We'll reach out to Amy tomorrow and see if we can just do an ad hoc public meeting on the 27th.
Going to be with her anyway.
Right, and in the meantime, because it doesn't have to be televised, because it doesn't have to be televised. As long as we're taking meetings or we just record it, that makes it, I think, we can have it as a public record. And that gives us time where we've voted to enter or pass on the wording changes, the definition change of apartment, as well as the other one. We can just get those wrapped up in hopefully a day or two and get those over and hit like that 2 week.
Planning might get back to us about their reasoning about doing that, because they really
Right.
didn't have, I was at the meeting with Mr. Riley, and they had no discussion about this. They went straight to a vote.
Right.
They didn't even ask people if they had questions. So,
Then
so
we'll-
maybe the idea of another public meeting before the Board of Selectmen gets stuff in the warrant might be a bad idea.
Right.
Okay.
And then we can send our opinion over.
So-
All right, so motion on tabling this one.
27th?
Yes,
Is it 27th?
sure.
I won't be here. I hope you don't mind. I won't be in Atlanta.
You.
After saying that, I would have just quickly said that I think there's a context here, and the context is there's a lot of construction that's coming up, and so the planning board, which we may not have any problem with it, as long as the bylaws are being carried out. We really don't know.
Some have already been approved.
But that's what the planning is. They've appropriated signage.
They got the water.
And last year, and they appropriated
Problem with
this
water.
this year. There's obviously a one-sided turf war by the planning,
Guys, the
but it may be
water
a good idea. As Mr. Mann said, it's a small issue, and that's what I would have said on the 27th if you need.
But you can say it at town meetings, so save your voice.
All right, so, do we have a formal motion to table the current,
Article from the planning board until the 27th of April. All those in favor?
second?
Second.
Second in favor?
Aye. It's getting late, guys.
I'll reach out, I'll email everybody. Hopefully we hear from Amy tomorrow, we'll shoot it out, we'll get it done.
All right,
We have a
make
motion
them.
to adjourn the meeting.
Second.
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye. Woo. We really, pushed the envelope.
Close, over for the year, put the
John, you
skis
wanna hit
away.
the off
and-
button, please?
Pushing the envelope, right, dude. Up awfully late.
I know. It's a couple hours past my bedtime.
Oh, my God.
Oh.
I don't want to shock anyone, but the North Ave is being appealed.
Yeah, I saw that.
Huh?
The, the one we did last week with the,
Last month, yeah, with the Brodeur. Mr. Brodeur and the growing building.
Oh,
Yeah.
the easement.
yeah.
It's okay.
That's not a surprise.
No, he pretty much said,
No.
both of them said that either way we came down.
Oh, that's, yeah, well, we knew
I
that.
think that's kind of spurred our judgment.
I tried to look up Quincy. Remember
Sorry, that was
when
just-
Quincy, but I couldn't find it.
Yeah.
I was very good at looking. That was a tough meeting.
Oh, my God.
It got brutal, and I also didn't read the
No, I'm glad you did. Are we off? John?